Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It's Tuesday, May 7th. We're in the midst of some severe storm warnings here in Michigan. I think I should be all right. I would assume. I don't know. Lukas in the 419. I don't know what he's dealing with. Okay.
Oh, no. We just keep losing Klotz even before the show.
You know what? He's fighting some adversity in the 419.
Are you guys familiar with these storms? Do you guys see the videos of the storms going on across the country? Is that what we're about to get hit with today? Like these massive tornadoes? Like did you see that big one the other day?
Yeah, I don't know where it was at, but I seen the video on Twitter. But hopefully not, Booner.
It was like the biggest tornado of all time. I saw. If that's coming my way, I don't think tornadoes travel like that. But I guess I'm not a weather expert. But hey, if we've got something like that coming our way, I'm a
little bro just forming his own tornado. It's coming to get you.
Nervous.
Maybe we'll do a weather update with Booner. Go outside.
Potentially, we'll see how things turn out over here, dude. The thing is I'm in the basement here, and if a tornado warning comes through and the whole family comes down here, I'm gonna have to hop off for a little bit because the whole family it'll just be me and the whole family down here. I don't think people want to see that. So It's gonna be an interesting show.
Yeah, I saw. I have video and pictures.
Man, this is scary.
Oh gosh,
I'm nervous.
Yeah, well,
it's one of my biggest fears: tornadoes.
See, now you're scaring Booner. I think I should be fine. Me and Mike live probably. How far would you say we're away from Kalamazoo? Right, good, like 2 hours.
No, I think like 2.5, 3 hours.
So yeah, we're good distance. I think our area. What do we expected? We're expected thunderstorms, but I don't think it's a tornado warning. So we should be okay, depending on how bad the thunderstorms are. But we're fighting some adversity tonight. We didn't get an answer from Klotzy. I don't know. I don't know what he's dealing with. Maybe him lagging out speaks for itself. But what are you dealing with, Boone?
Dude, look at this. The yellow is extreme. Look at all that yellow in there. Yellow is extreme. There's yellow.
You're fucked.
I'm really just giving out my location of where I live, and I didn't mean to do that.
I mean, that's a pretty big area. No one's finding you off
so.
That.
Well, there's a dot right where I live, so someone might be able to find the dot.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie fell through on 3. Lucas's Wi-Fi is taking more L's than the Pistons this year. Yeah, I mean,
shout out Freddie, by the way. Too.
Not yet, but it's close.
We have Mahogany's Missile joining us as well. Yeah, obviously, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you guys for joining. Although, depending on where you live, you could be experiencing some severe thunderstorms, but you're choosing to tune in to the fellas. We appreciate you. Sean Murphy will be joining today. Didn't join yesterday. He'll be joining us in the second hour. We're going to go through, talk about some potential primetime games for the Detroit Lions. We'll talk about really our top 3 rookies and top 3 free agents we expect to make the biggest impact this year for the Lions. Maybe we'll group them together. Can't wait to get into that. We'll talk about our NFL tiers because I think Pro Football Focus, I think the graphic was from, came out with their NFL tiers where the Lions ranked. We'll argue that. And we'll talk a little bit about Tyler Boyd because he just signed with the Tennessee Titans, reuniting with his former offensive coordinator with the Bengals. Also, Brodric Martin.
I know I said that yesterday. How about that?
Yeah, he's looking slim.
Maybe I know the future.
You did call it yesterday about him getting in shape, getting in better shape. So, hey, that's what matters. 501st Legion. The May 15th schedule release. We just got the notification. So next week we'll go through and really break that down game by game and give our updated predictions, record predictions as before the season. Obviously way early, but now that we have the schedule, it'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait for that. But boys, before we get into the nitty gritty, C.J. Moore is back with the Detroit Lions after his gambling suspension. He is back with the Lions, signed him to a 1-year deal. He is back. He's restated in the NFL. Lions liked him a lot, so he is back. Quintez Cephas signed with the Buffalo Bills, so just a quick little update there. He has returned. Also, like I mentioned, Tyler Boyd signs with the Tennessee Titans for like $4.5 million for 1 year, which, like, if I'm being real, I think that because people, I think, immediate reaction would be like, you could have got Tyler Boyd for $4.5 million. There's a reason why he went to Tennessee. Like, he went to play for Callahan, his former OC, who I think is going to be a really good head coach.
I didn't think about that.
But what'd you think about now Tyler Boyd off the free agent market? He's no longer available.
I mean, they got a good set of wide receivers, him, D-Hop, Calvin Ridley. And obviously their biggest thing was addressing the offensive line. They go out and grab J.C. Latham, 7th overall. But, I mean, I'm kind of surprised at the price tag, like you did bring up, 4.5. That's really not a lot. I kind of thought he was going to go for more. But even the years kind of surprised me because, I mean, 1-year deal, only that amount of money, kind of maybe like a prove-it deal to kind of get something longer term next year. But, I mean, it's pretty good for the Titans, I would say. But, I mean, surprisingly, I think the biggest thing from it was that price tag.
Yeah, it's interesting too. And I can't remember who it was. Might have been Mike Payton, I believe, or someone on Twitter, one of the beat reporters put out an article as well with Treylon Burks. And I think it's interesting seeing like the wide receiver scenario, especially with the Lions, because I've been pretty big on as well. I'm bringing a receiver in. Tyler Boyd was one of them. You know, DJ Chark was one who goes to the Chargers. So it's like now you're starting to see things settle down a little bit and guys sign. But the one point that I saw today is a guy like Treylon Burks, who got drafted a couple of years ago by the Titans. Now he's the 4th, 5th guy there. And that's a guy that could potentially be on the trade block. And I saw, again, I think it might have been Mike Payton that put it out about, you know, a potential trade target for the Detroit Lions to go after a guy like that. So it's just interesting. The price tag was interesting to me. I don't think, to your point, Jeff, I don't think, you know, any team could have got him for 4.5. I think it does have to do with relationships at the end of the day, and kind of going to get an opportunity. And he probably felt like he had a bigger opportunity there than he would have here, which is fine. I'm just interested to see how the rest of this receiving thing, to me, it's starting to feel like a little bit like if Zay Jones, he hasn't visited the Lions, but he's visited to the Cardinals. He's visited, I think, I can't remember the other spot, a couple other spots, and I haven't seen the Lions yet. So I'm starting to get the feeling as we get longer in a couple weeks after the draft that the Lions are actually very comfortable with their wide receiving room, which again I'm fine with. But again, like the argument and conversation we had last week, it was more so that back end of it. If there is an injury, what do you do from there? Because I would rather have it figure it out now than figure it out during the season to where you have to trade or go get an older free agent during the season. So that's all it is for me. But it's starting to feel like Brad and Dan, they're like, all right, well, we feel like we're all set in the offensive side of the ball right now. That's what that
Booner. DPJ Booner.
Yeah, I guess they trust him a lot. He was at the Gunna concert with St. Brown and Jameer last night. So they're forming that relationship.
Yeah, I think the Lions are comfortable with who they have in the wide receiver room. And I know we've talked about it. And I think, Mike, when you joined, we agreed, and you didn't even, I don't think you knew where I was going with it. And we still were on the kind of the same page where it's like, I'm comfortable with who they have. To Booner's point, could they bring in somebody to compete? They probably will, but I think they're capable. They are. And even Ken Phil, is Michael Thomas an option? No. I don't think I don't think it makes sense. And I'll tell you why, Phil, and I don't know where you guys are at with it. Maybe you disagree. The inability to stay healthy, but more than that, the off the field / on the field stuff, like the personality. I don't think he aligns with what the Lions want, especially in a receiver, but just in general. Like Brad Holmes and Dan always say, not everyone can be a Detroit Lion. And I think Michael Thomas does not qualify to be one.
I do want to throw out there too, guys. The Lions did tweet out as well. I didn't put this out on my Twitter. I probably should have. They did sign a defensive tackle as well today. Kyle Peka or Pico. I don't know how to pronounce it.
He played for Tennessee, right?
Yeah, played in 13 games, started in 10 last year as a defensive tackle. So my guess is they brought him in because of Terrell Williams, as he had that connection with him. He had 22 tackles, 0 sacks last year. But again, he started in 10 out of the 13 games he played. Probably like a big run stopper. It looks like here on Pro Football Reference, he's listed at 6'1", 305. So it sounds like there's just more depth in the inside. I don't know if that's something. I mean, dude, again, he started in 10 games out of the 13. So I don't know if they think that he can go in and behind DJ Reader and Aleem and then Brodric. And where does that leave? Like a Levi? Like that, I don't know.
Either way.
I'm interested.
It's competition.
That's what I was going to say.
And it's good competition too.
Yeah. That's that. Like even Michael, he says he played the nose, so he helped plug those gaps. I mean, I think
they love that.
Yeah, you bring him in, he competes. Maybe he, takes Levi's job. Maybe he makes the practice squad. Like Lions get a feel for these guys before the season starts, and even if they end up cutting them, they will bring them back, to the practice squad to be somewhere on the roster. So I have no problem with that.
And that connection with Terrell Williams, I'm sure Terrell, he knows exactly what he's getting out of him. He just spent a whole season with him, and he obviously started him in 10 of those games. So he's very familiar with him. So I'm comfortable with them bringing a guy like that in to compete.
Yeah, and just a sprinkle on the Michael Thomas thing. I don't think the Lions going forward are going to pick up any wide receiver like Michael Thomas that has that sort of ego to him that's going to be like demanding catches. The offense is already flowing the way it is, and you already have certain guys that you need to get the ball to, and you're going to get the ball to. And adding a guy in there who hasn't really produced or stayed on the field and is still going to demand something just isn't the route they're going to take.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Michael Thomas makes sense. I know on paper and Madden, it would make a lot of sense, but
can't guard Mike.
Yeah. You build a team like Madden, huh, Jeff? Do you want to talk about your Madden team?
No,
we'll leave that out.
Yeah, we'll leave that out. I try things, try different situations. Maybe at the quarterback position.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I will say, to kind of transition here, did you guys catch Austin Rivers?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I heard about it.
Pat was not happy. A lot of people were not happy. J.J. Watt was not happy. A lot of people were
I
not
wanted
happy.
Klotz in on this because I think this would be like his bag. Like he would I want to hear what he would have to think about this, but maybe we can get his thoughts when he joins. But I don't know if we would get a copyright strike if we played the clip from Pat McAfee, but
no, I don't think you would. If we're still on the screen, you just have to make sure we're on the screen. I learned that from someone. I believe at least. I think if we're reacting to it, I believe we're good.
So what?
It's fair.
Adam's comment. All right, let's throw up this video. It's Austin Rivers. This to me it was hilarious, and JJ Watt responded to what he had to say, basically saying that NBA players could play in the NFL, but NFL players cannot play in the NBA, and I love that type of banter. So let's let me get the clip up. We'll play this, and then we'll give our thoughts on the whole situation. But here's Austin Rivers.
Hey, listen, NBA is a fantastic. Let's not get crazy though. About 30 guys could go in there.
I mean,
who's coming up? Anthony Edwards.
We got 5 max.
We got Anthony Edwards coming over.
Jimmy Butler.
Russ. Oh, you guys are drunk early in the morning.
Russell Westbrook.
Zion at left tackle.
Zion would be fair.
Left tackle.
He's a football player, which he has been maybe this entire time.
Pretty much. True.
I put Josh.
So
Draymond.
No way, said Josh Hart.
He's clubbing people.
Draymond and Pat. Sorry.
We saw it. Well, he's not playing. He's not playing tight end.
Think about them running in these. You know what I mean? Man. Like it is. It's just
water.
Nonetheless, you guys are great athletes. Okay.
Global. We're global. We're global, man. Because football somewhere else is a little bit more important. They call it. You know what I mean? When you go overseas, you talk about football. They think you're talking about real football.
What's that?
Wow.
Soccer.
You don't believe that.
Shut up.
Come on. You don't believe that. Come on. There's no way.
That came out of your mouth uncomfortable.
Talk about soft.
Yeah, I don't even want to. You guys flopping with the soccer community enough. I played soccer growing up. Couldn't do it, but Vincenzo last night. Middle of the hole.
I love this conversation.
Dude.
Yeah.
There's no chance, by the way.
I did not just come back to Austin Rivers calling the real football soccer. Disgusting.
Honestly.
The whole context of the clip is he said 30. There's probably 30 NBA players that could play in the
Zero
NFL.
Chance.
But there's no NFL players that could play in the NBA.
Yeah. I think that's facts.
I agree with that.
I don't think NBA players can there's like a lot that can just transition. They would just get absolutely blown up in the NFL.
Bro, do you know how many linebackers and defensive ends are just sitting at the power forward position right now? The 3.
I just think some of them are too soft that they never played football in their life. I think majority. I think maybe 30, but just because of their athleticism. But when you saw Draymond put the pads on, he didn't look comfortable at all with the pads on. And he's supposed to be the toughest guy in the NBA. He probably would have gotten blown up.
And here's the thing you got to consider.
I don't think it goes either way. I don't think NBA or football players can play in the NBA.
It doesn't. But if you're saying which would easier transition, there's one thing you can't teach, and that's fucking height. And I think Calais Campbell at 6'7" is the tallest player in the NFL right now. and I would love to see Calais
Dude.
Campbell go up and down the court for 60 minutes. I don't think it's
Yeah.
happening.
Did
But,
you
like,
say Josh Hart at corner?
Yeah, dude, these guys would get hit one
Hey,
time.
Josh
and just
Hart,
be
big energy
crying.
guy.
No.
Zero chance, dude. Zero chance.
I get it. It fits the narrative. They're soft. Like I get that. But let's get serious.
To be fair,
These guys
Keon
are-
Coleman did it. To be fair, that's a good point.
Yeah, okay.
Good point,
How
Booner.
about Anthony Edwards? Did we forget what he was as a football player?
I might have just convinced myself. LeBron might have just convinced myself. I'm starting to think a little bit.
These
here.
guys are like, it's no disrespect. I'm not going to
Jimmy
go as far
Graham,
as
Antonio Gates.
Yeah,
guys-
you know what? I'm convincing
Tony
myself over
Gonzalez.
here a little bit, boys.
And I don't want to discredit like these football players. What they have to go through is, it's they're different. All right, but the point of NFL players playing in the NBA, like the amount of different things you have to be able to master at the highest level, I think it'd be a much more difficult transition for NFL players to play in the NBA than NBA to play in the NFL. That's my point. And when it's like, we could also say, well, what kind of player are we talking about? Are we talking about being an all-pro or just being a starter, playing snaps versus playing minutes? I think it'd be easier to play snaps than it would be to play minutes.
I think the only players that would be able to transition from
Smaller roster too.
football
That's
to
all.
the NBA, if they even have a chance, is you would have to have played basketball at a higher level.
Yeah. Hey,
I think,
look
and
at
that's a very
Jalen
that's a very low percentage in football. It would just be hard for some of those guys to transition. It's just it's completely different. Like with football, at least you could throw the pads on and still hit. Like you don't have to throw the ball, you don't have to shoot the ball, you don't have to dribble. All you have to do is just go out there and hit. So I see where maybe there's that because it's more skilled to go to the NBA. I do think there are some guys who might be able to though. Because of guys who played at a high level, whether it's at high level high school or high level college as well. I do think there is a couple guys throughout the NFL that could do that. I don't know about going there and be a star. Like maybe just go in there. Hey, we're just going to do it to see what you can do. Give us 2 minutes out there and don't mess up. I bet you there's a couple guys that might be able to do it.
I wouldn't want to block Zion, that dude off the edge. Come on.
Zion, I mean,
Zion.
it would, but like the last person I'm thinking of in the NBA is like a force to be in the NFL is Zion. I mean, there's some there, but like
Zion's a big dude.
The dude's hurt already as much as he is in the NBA.
Take the injuries out.
He gets Penei Sewell 2 times. He's fucking cooked
Oh,
for the
well,
rest of
yeah,
his
that's
career.
the best.
Klotz, take the injuries out. That man's like his
Put
size.
LeBron at tight end. Jeff?
Oh,
Yeah, but Booner, to your point, there's guys in the NBA that could do it, and there's guys that couldn't do it. And Zion, great ball player when he's on the court. That ain't transitioning on the gridiron, baby. He's cut from a different cloth.
Do you guys remember?
He's got that baby fat still.
Do you guys remember those LeBron highlights in high school? He was an absolute dog at receiver.
Yeah, at 40, he would get his clock. I mean, he would get
maybe like in
destroyed.
his prime, he would have gone to the NFL and been good.
Here's the thing, though, you have to consider. All right, the height. There has to be a cutoff. Like you can't. Like we're not talking about like Victor Wembanyama going out there at 7'4" and like skinny as hell. Like there has to be like
he would get thrown, dude.
There has to be like a cutoff to where maybe like 6'7", 6, like, and then you're getting Joe Alt if you're a tackle, maybe 6'8", whatever. But I'm talking about like the Anthony Edwards, like he's 6'4", 6'5", dude. He could be, he'd be fine. You know, he'd be making some plays.
What NBA player would be like a good running back?
Desmond Bain.
Shout out Desmond Bain, actually. Yeah, he's
Jimmy Butler possibly, but he's kind of tall still.
Yeah, there's no like small like
John Wall would have been a great slot receiver. I would have thrown that boy in the spot right now.
John Wall, he's about 6'4".
You know who would have been a good long snapper? You know who would have been a good long snapper?
Big Baby Davis.
Killian Hayes.
No, he probably couldn't even do that.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably false start or something before the snap.
Jimmy Butler, I feel like would be a good football player.
Keaton says you have to remember you dropping someone who is good at a completely different kind of game in against a league of professionals who do nothing but train for that sport. That is, yeah. And
that's why it's tough for the NBA because the NBA, like you have to have a shot, you have to be able to dribble, you have to be able to. There's so much. There's more. I don't want to say football's not skilled, but instead of just hitting someone, you have a ball that you have to touch every single possession. Come on, Klotz.
Receiver Tayshaun Prince. Westbrook is a safety. I see that
Westbrook
one.
would probably
I don't
be
think
a
Kyle
nasty running
Lowry.
back.
I don't think Kyle Lowry's fast enough to be a running back. To be honest.
I've
Oh, yeah,
watched
no.
C.J. Anderson run a football before. I've watched Mike Colbert run a football
All
before.
right, that's fair.
Lucas cooking right now.
What's his name from the Green Bay? The big fella.
Eddie
Eddie
Lacy.
Lacy.
Hey, shift god, Draymond could be a kicker. Yeah, he could.
That is true. This is true.
He's already kicking motherfuckers as it is. Throw him out there. Yeah, I think he could. I think he could.
Isaiah Stewart would be a nasty defensive end.
Oh, dude, Isaiah Stewart would be a dog. Yeah,
He's getting bullied.
Oh, for sure.
Mike shutting it down.
Wouldn't translate.
No, yeah,
all I'm
doesn't fit
saying.
my
Steve
narrative.
Stewart would be a dog out there. Actually, I'm trying to think of some other players, man. I'm drawing blanks over here.
Yeah, I see the Jared Goff. Jared Goff would be like if he could shoot the lights out and get in good shape, like shredded shape, because he
He'd
can't
be
have a
like
dad
Luke
bod.
Kennard, bro.
Unless he has a dad bod, he's like he's like Luke Kennard, or he's like Luka, and Luka gets away with a dad bod, but that's like
I don't even think Luka would play any position in football, dude.
Yeah,
Zero
no, he's
chance.
too
no,
slow.
he wouldn't. See, there it goes both
Nikola
ways.
Jokic would be like a great right
left
tackle.
tackle.
Yeah,
He's
right
too
tackle.
slow.
I don't know about left yet.
So slow.
Yeah, no, he's a good tackle. Just
Ben Wallace, I see. Andrew Jump, Ben
Mhm.
Wallace, hell of a DN there. Ben
Oh,
Wallace
yeah.
would just be killing people.
Trying to think of people that were like built like football players, because basketball players, their frame's different. Who was
Kawhi
the guy,
Leonard.
He was out of Virginia. The Hawks took him, I think, 5th overall. He was
DeAndre Hunter.
Yep, he is like a football player build.
Good one.
Yeah, there's I think Westbrook's a good example. Westbrook playing like safety actually.
You know who I'll throw out running back?
He's
Pat
athletic.
Bev. Let Pat Bev get the rock out of the backfield. That
Yeah.
man would be an absolute dog. coming out of
Actually,
the backfield.
maybe.
Pat
But
Bev, and he talks too. Oh, dude, he would be a great
Might have to
football
put him
player.
at
Kind of look
safety.
at some
low-key,
NBA
Boone.
players.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Ooh, I
Pat
like
Bev
that.
might be better defensive.
I think
All
Pat
right,
Bev
there you
might
go.
be the best NFL player just by his mindset. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he
dude.
might be.
Hey, what about Jimmy Butler, Boone, your boy?
You know, Jimmy B. Yeah, no. Himmy
Defensive back?
would be good. DB, he's a little too big for that, right? You know, no,
I don't
Himmy
know what
Butler
he'd
would be
be.
like let him be a linebacker.
Yeah, he
He would dominate. A couple interceptions, a
Yeah,
couple
You know
sacks,
who-
send him out a couple.
you know who maybe you could throw it in the post to? Maybe like dump a little post action, let him work in the post.
Who?
Maybe a little Brodric Martin. You know,
Hey,
maybe,
what a transition. What a transition. Great transition, brother. Hey,
maybe-
how about that?
maybe you could feed him in the post a little bit. You know, what I mean? Look at the big fella.
Well, the
I-
propaganda I'm about to be sold.
Joe
That-
Chap.
no, that's last year's, Jeff.
Yes.
Wait, is that this year or last year? I
No,
don't know.
this is this year. This is
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
See, this is workouts, May 6, 2024. Look who's in the back. Take notes. Take notes.
Glad you remember what I said yesterday.
He's
I'm
working.
hearing you.
Do you want
He's
to
working.
repeat it?
Look at the big fella. He's working.
He's working.
He's
Got
lost.
two
on.
6-round picks coming to take his fucking job.
Hey, look at. Let's not be weird here. Look at the frame. Go over. Look at the frame there. That man. I mean, look at that. That shirt's baggy on him now. Look at that.
Right,
baggy
like
on
it's
him
the
now.
same- like it's the same fit. He probably
He's got
lost
like
a little weight.
six-pack now.
That's
No,
great, and I'm excited to see that he's slimming down because that's what he needed to do. Hopefully, this falls perfectly in the 3-year development plan. But we talked about it yesterday, and that's
Gonna
why
be
I asked
early.
the question. If you ask, who do I see, even though I haven't seen Mekhi Wingo take a snap, who do I see having more success in the NFL, even after this year for Brodric? I still think it's Mekhi Wingo. I think Brodric, great idea. Hopefully still works out, but I just don't have the faith in it. But I will say the fact that he's taking it serious to lose some weight so he can get some speed on and some agility, that will help him. So I'm happy to see this. I just don't think it shakes any narrative that was there before
Thank you.
on my end.
Thank you.
I believe so too. You still gotta see it progress on the field and whatnot. And obviously, he's not going to be a starter or anything. But those chances that he does get and those reps he does get, you just hope he takes a step forward and at least makes an impact out there. But it is good to see him. You know, obviously getting in shape, seems focused and whatnot. So
This is the thing, fellas, and he's in best case scenario right now because last year you had no DJ Reader, you had Isaiah Buggs who was in and out because of probably I don't know if it was his weight or whatever was going on off the field. And then it was like, oh, Brodric, we need you to step up. Benito, we need someone help. And Brodric had to go in some games. It was the same thing with the Colby Sorsdale thing, to where you never wanted Colby Sorsdale to touch foot on the football field at all this year. But guess what? There was injuries, and you had to have him step foot on it, and he had to go play. And you see why, like, hey, he was not even close to being ready. Like, this was supposed to be a project for a year or two, and he's not ready yet. So, and you saw that. And it's the same thing to me with Brodric, is he had to get thrown out in the fire because we needed people, we needed bodies. Wasn't the best, didn't get a ton of playing time. Now he knows, and he's been developed. Now this second year's coming in. Best case scenario for the man is DJ Reader and Lee McNeil in front of him, and now Mekhi Wingo is going to be there by his side, and they're going to be able to rotate, and he's going to have opportunities to where he doesn't have all that pressure on him that he has to go out there and he just go out there and just be you. Just go be Brodric Martin.
Right.
Go be Brodric Martin. Do it. Be you. Be comfortable. What did Kevin Hart keep saying during the Tom Brady roast? Make uncomfortable things comfortable.
Yep. Start being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's what
That's what's gonna happen for him.
Here's the thing with me. All right, and I said this yesterday, and I want to revisit it because we got Mike back, and now I got some time to think about it. The whole Brodric thing, like, if you don't see Brodric that often this year, is it a concern? I'll just ask. I'll ask you guys, and I'll ask the chat. If you don't see much of him, are you concerned? At what point do you kind of hit the panic button a little bit in terms of, is he a bust? Like, I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm not insinuating. I'm just asking a question. What do you guys? How do you guys feel about that?
I would say the second, if Mingo starts over him, or I shouldn't even say starts, but if he gets snaps over him, then, and it doesn't even concern me for the direction where this team is going. Just for him personally, I think at that point it's like, okay, it's clearly they just signed DJ Reader for 2 years. They're ideally trying to bring Aleem back. So there's the next starters for the 2 years. Got Josh Pascal, who can work on the inside as well. And Mingo, once Reader leaves, if he produces, I'm sure that's who they're going to slot in there. So his window's getting close, and I think they're just going to keep adding depth and adding talent to this defensive line room. And it's okay that it's a miss. Like, that's what Brad's going to miss eventually. And I think this is just one of those players that it's going to be. Can I be wrong? Absolutely. But the fact that it's a third-round pick, I know it's a development, but you didn't see anything. So if
that's because it was a development. You were never going to see anything year one.
I understand that, but we're talking about Benito Jones. We're talking about signing Tyson Alualu.
Even with the worst on the team, you were we knew that. Like, you can't take that into account.
I understand.
You knew no matter who you had in the room, you were never going to see him.
My part is if you're taking him in the third round, I think you should trust him enough to go get something, to not have to put Tyson Alualu, who was 35 years old, hadn't taken a snap. Benito Jones was starting at some point. I just thought you'd at least see Brodric out there for a couple plays. And the fact that you're now putting somebody in a position that could get in front of that development plan. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm panicked for the team, but for Brodric to meet what the Lions want him to do, I just don't think there's that in the window anymore.
There's situations in sports, whether it's the NBA, MLB, whatever it is, when you draft someone for a development, just because you have like these vets in there that aren't great or whatever. If you have a guy for development, he's you need to let him develop. You can't just throw him in the fire when you know he's not ready. You're setting him up for an absolute failure to not do anything, and then he loses all of his confidence. His career's done. He doesn't think he can do anything, and then at the end of year one, you have a guy that you're sitting there trying to fix now, when you could say, hey, let's not put him out in the fire instantly like this. Let the Alualu go. Let Levi go. Let Benito Jones go. Let Isaiah Buggs go in there. Let these guys go in there who have been in the NFL. They might not be great, but let them go out there and take these snaps, and let they knew Brodric was never going to be in the rotation this year. So I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, we didn't see anything out of him. You never were going to. That was not why they drafted him for year one. It was for year 2, year 3, and year 4, year 5 down the line. This is a guy he played at a smaller school. He was never going to come in the NFL and be a dog right away.
So
he needed to develop.
You can be sold that, but then they said the same thing about Colby Sorsdale, who went to an even smaller school and started on a primetime football game with injuries.
Again,
and I'm
Colby
not saying,
and injuries, that was all they had.
That was all
they had. He got thrown in the fire and shouldn't have.
But my point is, They're seeing what they have. I think they were more comfortable starting Colby, who's a 5th-round pick out of William and Mary, who they knew was not going to work out, than they were throwing Brodric Martin on the defensive line room for meaningful snaps. That's why I'm saying, from what I'm looking at in my perspective,
I think we lost him.
I do not think that there's much room for Brodric Martin to make a dent in this defensive line room. I just don't think it's possible.
No, and to be honest, like I agree with Lucas. I'm not panicking overall, like as far as our team's future goes. But if Wingo's out there taking his rotational snaps, and in year 2, if he's not even ready for rotational snaps, that kind of makes me not panic a little bit, but it makes me worried about his future. I think right now you should still see him rotating in and getting some snaps when Reeder and Aleem need some breaks. And if he's not even doing that, and you're sliding in Wingo every single time, then I mean I might start to panic a little bit. But
I just think it's guys, it's like the Colby thing. You had no one else, and you had Colby. You're like, we need someone, and you're sitting there with the number 1 offensive line in the NFL. Okay, maybe Colby can hold his own here, and instantly a game into it, they're like, yep, nope, guy's not even close to being ready. Need to sit him and let him develop, and he never went back in.
That's not true. He played in multiple games.
Dude, it was when they found out he wasn't good enough, he did not just keep going back. He didn't play all year.
When he played, like, they didn't go and sign.
They started putting what's his name in. They started putting playing Yodi. Yodi started playing because they were like, Colby's not even close.
Yes, Yodi was not much better either, and I would say that Yodi does not have Brodric Martin value
For you to say that we haven't seen anything out of Brodric, it's a problem, when it was very clear he was a development piece. Yes, it was a 3rd-round pick. I understand that, but Brad Holmes made it very clear. This is a guy from a small school. He's a development piece. We need to give him time. Like Iffy, and I know Iffy had injuries, but till year 3, we didn't see anything out of Iffy, and now we got to see it. Brodric, it's just, we need to sit there and, like, you can't just 1 year, people are writing him off because, oh, you didn't see him at all last year. Okay, who cares? That was a development piece. Brad came out in a press conference and said it, that, hey, this is a development. It's like, hey, do you trust Brad? I feel like, I could be wrong. I could be crazy. I feel like Brad knows a little bit of what he's talking about when he says, yes, I know it's crazy I drafted him 3rd overall, but he's a development piece. He's not going to touch the field this year, but he's going to learn behind the best in the game with Aleem McNeil and DJ Reeder now. Like that, and Terrell Williams.
You don't think the fact that they brought in Reeder and Wingo affects his development at all?
We wanted them to bring in more guys on the D-line. They did that. It's going to help him get better. It's going to elevate.
He's got competition. To be a 3rd-round pick. And you you expect Wingo to be that's going to hurt his development because it's going to keep him off the field. That's going to take snaps away from him. What are we talking about? Especially if
it's going to give him competition. He's going to get in there. He's playing with the best in the game.
Yes, that's great competition for depth, but when it comes down to it, you have 11 defensive players, and a lot of times you can only have 1 or 2 defensive tackles unless you're in goal line. That's great, but it's what can you do on the field for us?
Okay, well, guess what?
Sometimes I just think there's timing wise, but when you add pieces, some players just get passed up. And I can see Brodric, that's just a guy that gets passed up, just like Levi.
Such a wild statement after not even a year of his first development year. He hasn't even had a chance.
But I'm looking at what they're doing with the room, not even just Brodric.
Such a bad statement. I hate that.
That's fine.
I hate it. Because guess what? Like DJ Reeder's only on a 2-year deal. Aleem has 1 year left. You're hoping that the thing is with some of these teams, when you have these picks and you have teams built up, you're trying to get guys to get to that level. You're trying to develop guys, whether they touch the field or not. On the back end, during the offseason, in practice, you're developing guys to try and take over because you need guys in the wings ready to go. Right now, Brodric is that guy. Is just because you haven't seen him doesn't mean he's just trash and he's going to be bad because he hasn't touched the field. He's developing. He's learning. He came from a young school. There's a reason they did take him 3rd overall. They felt like he had talent to do that. Now it's like, okay, how do we translate that to the NFL? It's going to take some time. We need to take a year to do it. We need to take 2 years to do it. Now give the man some time. You're writing him off when he had 1 development year and hasn't touched the field yet. And it was known it was a development year.
Lucas, you're bringing
up for yelling.
Go ahead. I tried to explain this multiple times. You can go, Jeff.
Well, Gentry, I want your thoughts, and then I'll
I already kind of said it. If Wingo's taking rotational snaps, then it worries me a little bit. I'm not worried from the outcome of the team as far as Brodric's development and whatnot. But if he's not even good enough to be a rotational piece this year, then that's when I start to get worried a little bit.
Yeah,
That's-
Iffy's development really got hurt too because he didn't play for 2 years. Like that really hurt him because we had so many guys in the secondary. That
Well,
hurt him. Look where he's
hold,
at.
hold on.
And I
It's like
wouldn't
you
go as
can't
far
learn
to
not
say
playing in the
that
game.
he was a bust. Would it be more that it was kind of a reach to trade up for him?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that we can
wouldn't
do that,
write him
but
off
just
as a
saying,
bust
writing him off, just saying, oh no, he's done. We didn't see him at all this year. He's a bust. He's done. Write him off.
I
Come
I
on,
kind of
man.
put
Ridiculous.
Brodric in the same category, even though athletically they are not the same as Giovanni Manu in terms of you're drafting somebody based on potential. And clearly Giovanni's not going to play for probably a year or two. So I get the long-term investment, but to kind of Lukas, I get both sides, but here's my thing on it. If Brad Holmes, he's not going to sit there and just assume that Brodric's going to take the spot or going to just earn the spot. He has to plan for either option. He has to just add in guys, competition. And if he comes out on top, he comes out on top. And if he doesn't, like Lukas said, see you later. Like
Needs the
Mekhi Wingo,
competition in that room.
if he's better, then he takes his spot. Now, DJ Reader, I thought it was interesting. He's only signed for a 2-year deal. So I think that factors into it's a shorter term deal. So you kind of you allow, hey, maybe Brodric post DJ Reader can take over. But nothing's promised. And I think Brad Holmes' ideology with this whole thing is more competition, more competition. I think this year, if you don't see him at all, my concern level will, especially if there's injuries, knock on wood, but especially if there's injuries and you don't see him at all, I will be more concerned.
I will agree with that. At the
definitely
end of
be
the
more
season,
concerned.
Glotzy, if what happened this last season happens this season upcoming,
Yeah.
after he's had an off season again, and this is his second off season with the Lions, he's developed under Terrell Williams and DJ Reader and all these guys, and he's just not touching the field at the end of the year, then we can start having that conversation. But again, I think like going into year 2 of him when we knew he was already a development player and being, oh, why isn't he touching the field? We didn't get, I just think that's where there's the disconnect for me a little bit to where it's, hey, like this was clearly like, it would be like at the end of this year, me going at Jeff and being like, Jeff, why didn't Giovanni Manu play? Huh? I thought like 3rd round guy. Why doesn't he play?
Got hurt?
Okay, what if he got hurt and Manu
all?
didn't play? What if he got hurt and Manu didn't play? And then I'll be like, Jeff,
I
and then
wouldn't
you
be
would be like,
concerned year 1, but year
exactly,
2, I
it's
probably
the exact
would.
same situation with
year 2,
Brodric.
Here's my
We
thing,
were
Booner.
never
I would
expecting
agree.
him to play this year.
I
That
would
was never
agree
a
with
thing.
you. I'm with you, but I'm not doubting the developmental thing. My thing is, I just do not see a path for Brodric Martin to be a starting defensive tackle. I just don't. I don't see a path for it. Could he become a rotational depth piece on this team, the 3rd, 4th defensive tackle? That's fine. But I don't think you trade up in the 3rd round for those guys, in my opinion. I don't think you do.
Could I argue that post DJ Reader, he's probably the best fit to take that role?
As of right
On
now,
the
on
active roster now, definitely. But
Like,
you
in
got to
terms
see,
of, like, a
you're
true
hoping
nose
that's
tackle?
hoping.
it's cool.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, you're banking on his development, which at this point you really don't know. The thing with Colby too, I think, at least in my opinion, Colby and Brodric was much more raw. Like, even though they're both from small schools, I think Brodric, dude, like his pad level was something that they brought up immediately. Like, there's a lot more to work on with him. And after Colby went out there, like obviously him or Yodi, it both was not great. But also you're playing on the best offensive line in football, so it's like maybe you can hide him a little bit. But
I don't look
know.
at it as a
That's where
bad
I'm
thing
at.
too. I don't look at it as a bad thing that Wingo got brought in. Like again, like you said, Jeff, the competition. It's the same
Yeah.
thing in the corner room when Brad came out after the draft and said in the corner room, we just brought in 4 or 5 corners this offseason now, like brand new guys. We basically just brought a bunch of dudes and drafted 2 in the first 2 rounds. We didn't draft them because we didn't think some of these guys can't play. It's now we have competition in this room. Someone's gonna have to come out of there better and have to, like, you're gonna like iron iron. Like that's dudes are going to come out of that. And it's the same thing with Brodric. Yeah, they brought DJ Reader on. They, you bring in Mekhi Wingo now. It's not that, hey, it's going to take snaps away from him. No, it's going to potentially help kind of make him that much better. If he is exactly what they thought he was when they drafted him and what he could get to and his ceiling is, you would think that him having competition in there, a better D-line coach and everything that goes with it, you would think that would elevate him up that much more to want to play. Like if he has that mindset, you would be like, hey, I'm going there to compete. It's the same thing in the corner room and the safety room with these receivers with DPJ and these guys. It's, hey, you're going to, like, we have a good roster. If you want to play and get snaps, you're going to have to work for it. And I think it helps guys get better. That's why it's hard for me. Like at the end of this season, we'll really know what Brodric is at the end of this season or what he potentially could be.
I want to get to the people. By the way, if you got any videos of the tornado or just the storm, send them to our email and I'll play them on here. And then make sure to write your username so I give you credit. I think it'd be cool.
It's a fun conversation. They got the flood flowing a little bit more.
Well, people ask, they want to ask Lukas, and I think Lukas, he can explain on his end here. But a couple people are asking, True Tella 2011, you don't see a path based on what?
I still think I still think they would like to ideally add more talent to the defensive line room. They added 2 this year. I understand that DJ Reader's going to be out of there in 2, but I think they're going to try to bring a lean back and they're going to keep adding talent. I think this is one of those things where Brodric Martin, he could be a good, like I said, depth piece, but I don't think he's going to be able to transition to be a starter. And then if he does that, again, he's going to have to be able to adapt to the game at that level. So there's still going to be growing pains. Would you rather wait on that development or this year? Kenneth Grant sitting there at 18. Let's trade up and get him. There's going to be another Chris Jenkins. There's going to be a Chris Braswell, etc. You get what I'm saying? There's going to be more pro-ready guys, not only this year in the draft. Obviously, it passed. You can go into next year's draft and the next year's draft that are more pro-ready than Brodric. So when you add that, I think Brad's going to be looking at that. Not only that, but they're going to be adding guys in free agency. I just think he's going to get passed up. That doesn't make him an absolute bust of a player, but for what you're expecting out of him, what you've been sold as far as this mammoth of a player that's going to develop into the bookend defensive tackle, I don't think that's what it's going to be, and that's okay. Brad's going to miss, and I think it's a similar in Levi. Like Levi was a second-round pick, and I think this is just going to be a similar situation to that.
To me, real quick, I just wanted to second that. Klotz, I get to point to that, but kind of to that conversation. Then in the NFL, like that's what the NFL is, and like the NBA, that's what pro sports are. Is there's always going to be pro ready guys coming up in the draft and free agency and all that. So it's like at that point, every development guy let's just count every development guy out. There's no path for any development because there's always going to be pro ready guys. And do you see what I'm saying? Like we have to give a little bit of a leash. We have to understand that there's going to be development guys and be guys there. Do you know what I mean?
But then there's also development guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a 4th-round pick, and he was able to play right away. There's difference in developments. When you talk about a length of development on a Super Bowl contending team, this isn't a rebuilding team anymore. So in my opinion, you are always trying to add as much ready talent as you can right now. The better win now teams just have talent that is ready to go, not really to develop. They're not banking on development. Name the project on the San Francisco 49ers offensive line, on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. Mayada, he developed for like half a year, and they started playing him, and he picked it up right now. And so when you try to sell me that with the Brodric Martin thing, I just don't see it. I don't see that. When you talk about quarterbacks, that's completely different because it's way more important to let a quarterback develop. And I just think when you're talking about defensive tackles, replaceable, they're just as replaceable as running backs like we were talking about yesterday, in my opinion. You can go get a veteran guy on a 1-year contract right now, and then go draft a guy in the 2nd round, and he can play right now. And I think most of those guys will have more production on the field than Brodric Martin.
Yeah, I guess we're just going to agree to disagree because like to your point, you're just saying that even if you're a Super Bowl team, like I'm sure the Chiefs have some guys on the back end right now that roster is developed, like they're developing some guys on the back end that we don't know about, and I think that's like a Brodric. You're going to have guys. Yeah, but you're just going to have guys in your building, whether it's 3rd, 4th, 5th round, 6th round that you're developing, like Giovanni Manu this year. He's not going to touch the field for a while. Like you just have that. Yeah, you're a Super Bowl ready team, but you're just going to have those guys. And yeah, if you take a guy in the 3rd and trade up, yeah, but I don't think it's like, hey, I don't ever see a path for a guy like this to ever get on the field because he's a development guy. I don't see that. That's just part of the game.
Yeah, and I saw this is where I'm at. And just to close it out here, like Brodric's a very specific example because of how much he has to develop. So that's why I'm not concerned yet. I'm not hitting the panic button, but I think if you'll hear more, the reporters are going to do their job. We'll have John on every Wednesday. He can give us some insight on what Brodric looks like. You'll find out this year. I think this to in terms of his development, not in terms of him playing and just keeping the job or anything like that. He could, but I don't think so. I think it's probably you're going to hear more about his development this year, and then I think the following year is make or break for me. 2 years, I think, is enough for any development player. But Lukas, if that's your opinion on it, I don't agree with Brodric's case because he's just different. Like he's so raw. So I'm willing to give him a little more of a leash, but we'll see. I don't know. Brad, like you said, he's not going to hit on every single pick, and I think him drafting guys that need development isn't a bad idea. It's just there's going to be times where not everyone can hit their ceiling, and we'll see if Brodric can do that.
Didn't this year feel like a little bit of a development draft to you guys though? That's essentially what it felt like.
Giovanni Manu, certainly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And it felt like last year, like with Brodric and Colby, they felt like they were starting to turn towards that way, which you would love to have guys that could play instantly. But you could feel Brad last year with the Colby and Brodric picks. You could feel him kind of, all right, we're gonna take some guys like Terrion Arnold's and Rake Straws that can play right away, but we're also gonna take some developments, and that's what it felt like with a couple of these dudes, and even like a Mahogany who like, hey, we can sit him and let him develop. Your guy Sion Vaki, Klotzy, like he can sit there and he can learn back there and probably get better and better behind Gibbs and Demont. So I just think that they're kind of at that point where you got to like let some of these guys marinate a little bit. Is the word?
Well, Brodric Martin, if he does end up seeing the field this year, he could play in a primetime game, which I want to ask you guys, how many primetime games do you expect for the Lions this year? Last year, I have the numbers in terms of 2023 primetime games. The most they had was 6, and it was the Bills, Chargers, Chiefs, Cowboys. And the year, this is 2023 regular season. And then it was the 49ers, Eagles, Giants, Jets, Packers, Raiders, Vikings with 5. And then the Lions had 4. It was Bears, Bengals, Broncos, Lions, Patriots, Ravens, Steelers. So
Ryan in the chat said 5 and Thanksgiving. Because there were some where we got flexed into, so I wonder if that's what we ended up with.
Yeah, this was
Thanksgiving 6 total.
This was 2023, so this was what? Yeah, last year. I think last year before this past season. So I don't.
What was the most? You said 6.
Not this. I don't think it was this past season, but the numbers I have was from 2022 to 2023. Last season, the Lions had like, I think another like 5, 6 or something like that. They had a lot.
Max, do you think, from a team?
Probably around that number. I think 6 is a lot. 6 is definitely a lot. I think this year the Lions will probably have 4 to 5. I would say
what I had.
Yeah, I think
5 written down.
5, maybe 5. It could be because the Thanksgiving game you got to count. Maybe 5. I think they'll have 4 others.
I'll say this. I'll say 5 and then the Thanksgiving game. I think they'll have 5 non-Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay, so 6 in total.
Yeah, so 6 total. I think because I know last year they didn't count Thanksgiving as prime time. They never usually do. So outside of Thanksgiving, I think Thanksgiving will be. I think what will happen is I think the 49ers game is going to be prime time. I think that's like a big matchup. I think that will. The Texans game that we talked about potentially being the opener, I think that'll be prime time. Cowboys, I feel like that has to be prime time.
The Rams are going to be prime time.
Yeah, the Stafford. And then the other one I had was either a Bears or a Packers game. Most likely a Bears because of Caleb Williams. Those were the 5 that I had. And then obviously you could say like maybe the Bills on Thanksgiving. I think you end up playing the Bills on Thanksgiving because it has to be an AFC team. So
I saw the Bills game. I saw their last Thanksgiving game. What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
James Houston breakout year.
Yeah.
Lost
again. I was there. They lost. Yeah. So is what it is. I think 5 is a fair number. Maybe if you want to go 6, great. Now what games what do you think, Lucas and Mike, before we move on? Because we'll get to the games, but how many games you guys expect this year for the Lions?
No, I think 5 too. Kind of hit. I was looking at the schedule just like Booner was, and I think I'm not going to go through all the same games, but yeah, I think 5.
Yeah, I would say 6, including Thanksgiving.
Well, now, what games? We'll take out the Thanksgiving one because that one it's all prime time. I mean, if you want to take that one, go ahead. But ideally, what games? I think the Bears, get the Bears on like a Monday night or something. I just want to see the Bears
over the Bears. I think maybe they'll do the Bears for like a 425 maybe on like a bye week where a lot of teams are on a bye, so it's a big game, but it's not prime time. That'll probably be, but I think it's hard to not put the Packers on who are in win now mode. Who can go
that's fair.
It's like a future playoff matchup. Probably going to be the top 2 teams in the NFC North.
I do feel like the Bears are going to have the same amount of prime time as the Lions. I just have a feeling because of Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. Number 1 overall pick, I feel like they're going to give them like 5 primetime games or 4 of them Because do you guys remember? I think it was last year where we all thought when the schedule release came out, we all thought the Lions were about to get like 6 and have the most in the NFL. And I think we had the same amount as either the Packers or the Bears, and one of the two. And everyone was like, "Wow, how was that? How did that happen?" And we were all kind of shocked on that. So I think a similar thing will happen. I think we're going to get flexed and do a couple too. Once it comes down towards the stretch, if you're the best team in football, you're going to get flexed at some point.
I think you get one primetime game against the NFC North team, which I do think will be the Bears. And then I think you play the 49ers on primetime. I think you play, the Texans, the Rams, and
Cowboys has to be,
Cowboys,
right?
Cowboys, yeah.
Yeah, I see people are putting their teams. True Teller, Texans, 49ers, Green Bay, Cowboys, Rams, Bills. I
could see that.
Maybe that's the Thanksgiving one.
That's what I'm thinking. I saw some people on Twitter, they're like doing their projections of the whole schedule, what they think it's going to be. And I saw some people having the Lions, having the Cowboys and the 49ers game, neither of them in primetime. Like that would be really shocking to me if the NFL, that would be a miss on the NFL's part.
I think they got to put Cowboys prime time just because of last year, but I could see them not putting the 49ers. I don't think they should. Like, I think that's a fucking Monday night football game written in heaven, but I could see them just like, again, like talking about like a 425 game of the week type of thing.
That's exactly the 425 game of the week. I would not be shocked. You're playing in San Fran. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be brutal. Oh, that's going to be the worst of all time.
Joe Buck sucks, dude. I don't even want to hear it. Troy Aikman,
I don't like that crew.
Time. They need to start putting Joel Klatt and Gus Johnson back in the NFL booth. At least Gus Johnson. I know he got his rights revoked for a controversial call. One would
Gus Johnson?
Yeah. But give him a come on.
Did he? I didn't know that.
He said that Chris Johnson had a certain type of speed and the NFL didn't appreciate it. And so they
it's a hell of a call from my guy.
Yeah, I thought it was an iconic call, to be honest. He still crushes college football. You got to put him back.
Do you know who needs to get
the best?
Who needs to get a number one spot? And he got pushed down this year. Is Greg Olsen. I'm a big Greg Olsen fan.
I love Greg Olsen.
He is the best in football. I saw him on a show the other day, and he got pushed down. Like he's like, I'm doing secondary, third games. Like he's not doing any good games.
I think Mike Tirico's good. I see Derek put that in there. I love Mike Tirico.
And Brady's going to start doing it soon.
I think Brady will be good too. I do.
Do you guys like Tony Romo?
No, I was just about to say Tony Romo.
Tony
Romo was cool the first year. He was cool at first.
He lost a lot.
He just got ornery and just started glazing every quarterback that ever stepped on the field, dude.
Yeah, Tony's he's bad. You know what's going to happen with Tom Brady? It's people aren't going to like him at first, and he's going to start growing on people. And it was the same. Remember how Greg Olsen, he started, and people were like, I don't know about Greg Olsen. And then you start watching, yep, I like Greg Olsen. I think the same thing will happen with Brady.
I think Tom will immediately be like,
I hope so.
He can diagnose the game like no other. You know who's goated though? That's already is Ian Eagle. He is the most slept on broadcaster in the game.
He does every sport.
Dude, he just does like every Chargers game when it's just like, oh, nobody's watching the Chargers game and the offense just starts going crazy. You just hear Ian Eagle going nuts.
I turned the NBA playoffs on the other night, and it's just Ian Eagle. I turned March Madness. He calls the Final Four. He took Jim Nance's Final Four spot.
I was familiar with his game, Boone.
And I'm pretty sure he does golf. I think he literally does like the top notch stuff. He's everywhere, dude. It's elite.
I saw Spencer put "Give me Marshawn Lynch" commentating.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be awesome.
Shannon Sharp in the booth with Ocho.
Oh, that would be good. That
would be a great
Jeff stream scenario.
Great. Yeah,
like a Peyton and Eli type stream with those two. Be fire.
Yeah, that's the thing. You guys watch a lot of Monday night with the Mannings. I love their broadcast.
I only turn it on if there's a certain guest on that I'm like, yep, I want to see that guest. That's about it.
If the game sucks, I go to the Manning cast because
that's what I was gonna say. If it's a bad matchup, sometimes those two can make the game more entertaining and whatnot. So that's
to be honest,
happening. But if it's like a serious game or by any means, if like the Lions are on, I'm not like having the Manning cast go on the Lions game. Like
I wish that they would do Thursday because I know that it's a different platform, but like remember those Thursday games last year, how bad each matchup was? Like Amazon, they thought they were doing something good getting the Thursdays, and every single matchup was like the worst matchups in the NFL every single time. I like that would be a game where I would watch the Manning cast on one of those Thursday games.
Hey, fellas, real quick before we move on here, I got some footage
This is not good.
sent to us. And this was that I want to show. This was from Jacob Bond, who I don't know your username in the chat. So please reveal yourself. But we appreciate you. He sent me some
That's
Twitter
Bond J.
Is it?
Jacob Bond J.
Jacob Bond.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
an
look
idiot.
at Gentry, bro.
I'm just
Gentry's got
guessing.
the
I'm
fucking
just guessing.
context.
No, that I'm an idiot for not putting that together. No, I do appreciate you. Here's the foot here. Let me pull it up. I'll show you one.
Is this the tornado footage or is this the aftermath footage? Because the aftermath footage is just going to be depressing.
Well,
Like,
the
it's
tornado
sad.
footage, I believe.
Okay, I was just if we would like the tornado, like to see a tornado. All right, that's. But I thought you were about to show us like.
Oh shit!
Hold on, let me put this up. Yeah, this was kind of damn. Look at this. Jeez. All right, hold
That
on.
fucker's
Ready?
big.
Oh my gosh! Oh, if that's coming towards me, boys. If that's coming towards me, boys. That's in Michigan.
Yeah.
What would you do if you're driving?
419, my God.
What if you're driving? What do you do? I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah, you get out of there, bro.
Like, well, you're on a highway. You just go the other way. Look at those cars
Yeah, I'm
coming
cutting
by.
across
Yeah.
that fucking
They're just
median. and-
zooming.
We should do like a crunch time storm chasers.
Did you
Yeah,
see
not
the
a
Nelk
chance,
boys?
not a
Did you guys?
chance.
No, we'll
The
just throw a
Nelk boys
Boone
did
out
it?
there.
They oh yeah, with Bob Nannery.
Dude,
I saw
it was.
that.
I
Yeah,
don't.
the storm they saw was insane, or the tornado they saw was insane.
Well, here,
I would not laugh.
what's up, Lucas? What were you gonna say?
I just don't fuck with like Mother Nature, man. Like when she's doing her
No,
thing,
dude.
say, like
Yeah.
the
Fuck
ocean.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck no.
One of my
Storm,
biggest
keep me the
fears.
fuck away.
That and real quick for people who are asking where that is, I don't. Let me see. Make sure.
There's no tornadoes on the Booner Path. I will confirm. We do not have tornadoes on the Booner Path.
That was in Kalamazoo.
Fair.
That was Kalamazoo, southbound 131 south. So let's play this one. This is the aftermath. Look at some of the.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Good God.
So this
Not
is
good.
Kalamazoo and Portage. So yeah, he even says
That's not good. Not good.
Look at
Can't confirm.
jeez,
Not good.
bro.
This is not good. This is not the Booner. Oh man. Hopefully the people are okay. Hopefully there's no injuries.
Yeah, facts.
Jeez, man.
Hopefully people are all right. That's tough,
Dude,
man.
fuck Mother Nature, dude.
Telling you,
Man.
dude, tornadoes are scary. I had the conversation with my cousins one time. Like, are you more scared of a hurricane or tornado? I said tornado because hurricanes, you get a warning, like, hey, get out, like, go somewhere. Tornadoes, they just like, there's a storm coming in 5 minutes. Oh, tornado's coming with it. What do you do? You know,
I
it's just
prefer
like
neither.
instant. Yeah, I prefer neither, but tornadoes freak me out because they just instant, dude.
I mean, yeah, I'm with Apollo, man. They said Michigan couldn't get tornadoes. What the fuck?
Fuck Michigan.
I was told, yeah. I mean, I lived in Georgia for a couple of years, and we had a tornado there, and that was my first time experiencing an actual like tornado. Because Michigan, I have never. We've had tornado warnings, but I've never been in a tornado. I've never been in an actual tornado. But in Georgia, they don't play around. Like it was just one night. It's like, oh yeah, tornado coming through. Like get down. I'm like, wait, what? We didn't have a basement. It's fucked up.
Do you know like Tornado Alley? Like my mom and my dad was in the Army. They lived on a base in Oklahoma, and it was like right in the middle of Tornado Alley every year in Oklahoma, where like all the tornadoes are now. And every year they lived there. They just absolutely get wrecked from tornadoes. It's like Tornado Alley. It was like one of the worst things of all time, dude.
Why would
Tornadoes suck.
anyone like move to Tornado Alley? Like
Crazy?
That's where you choose.
There
Like,
ain't shit going on in
Well,
fucking Missouri,
dude,
Kansas,
why
Nebraska.
don't
It's cheap
you
living.
just move
living,
an hour
baby.
away and drive an
Dude.
hour to work instead of living into Tornado Alley? It
Brutal,
just doesn't
dude.
make sense. You got to
I
think.
bet
smart.
those houses though might be a little knocked off a little bit. Maybe get a little
Yeah,
discount
because
on
it gets blown up once a year.
Hey,
Yeah, you have to buy a new house every
Hey.
year, dude.
insurance.
Yeah,
Ryan has a
hey,
good
you can
point.
level up. You just keep leveling up.
He
Imagine
said
how much
farming.
the
That's
price
a
is
very
on that
good point.
insurance.
I didn't think of that.
Hey, maybe the house gets taken down. Maybe something's standing up. You just kick it. Oh, a tornado took
It's
that down
gone.
too. You know, like, hey, we don't have the evidence. So hopefully everyone's safe if you're on that side of the state.
Yeah,
I think
hopefully no injuries,
sure.
man.
I think it's just raining. So we're good. I
I
think
just
we're
heard a
good.
sound, dude. Don't do
Booner,
that.
when you left, I thought they got you. I
I
thought
know.
they got you.
It was just
Well, what
wiped
happened
out.
was what happened was on my screen over here. You know how like on computers when you swipe, it goes to the last like thing. I swiped it and it just took me out of here. And then in my head, when I came back, I thought in my head, I was like, oh, the boys might think I just got killed by a tornado.
Dude, we have a lot of
Booner.
listeners that are from out of state, and I'm sure you guys deal with a lot. I mean, I have family in Florida, and I know hurricanes. That's one thing, man. Because now we're talking a hurricane with tornadoes. Now we're combining.
I think
we're
the
throwing it
scariest
together.
shit in the world would be a fucking earthquake, bro.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you can't. You're just sitting there, and the ground just shakes, and you're talking about no warning. Like the earth doesn't like give off a little fucking like, hey, I'm gonna shake some shit up for a little bit. Like be ready. Like a tornado, you at least get like a tornado. You can see the clouds circling from the fucking sonar above. Earthquake, bro. You're just your building collapses out of nowhere. Everything's just gone. It's gone.
Hey,
I'm always nervous to be in a parking garage during one of those, and it's just all the levels fall on
Parking
me.
garages make no sense to me, man. I don't understand how that much weight's held up in air.
It's crazy, dude. I'm in a parking garage every day for work, and every time I park at the top, just in case it falls, at least my car makes it at the top. You know, my car's good. Just lift it up and take it out, please, for me.
Because think about like all that cement in the air, then all the fucking cars. Like, you
Well,
ever
really,
just drive through and just be like, this shit's kind of crazy. Because it's like, it's not like it's like,
Hey, that parking garage in Birmingham. I know.
yeah, that's
easy
what I'm
to
thinking
check
of, bro. I
speak
remember
on it.
driving. I'm like, this shit's kind of fucking crazy, man. Like, I
hope
don't
there's
understand
inspections
it.
in there, dude.
Yeah,
Because there's like
that
cracks
one.
in the walls.
Sketchy parking.
Can we do a version of Mythbusters with Lucas? Michael says,
Dude, that would be
Hey,
sick.
I'm game.
Mythbusters is so good.
I saw a comment too talking about the trailer park thing. Like, why do trailer parks always get hit with tornadoes? That is kind of a weird. There's some truth to it. There's certainly some truth to it. I've lived in some trailer parks. I not in Michigan though. I've never had a tornado, but like, yeah, that is kind of weird. Every like post tornado video you see is
Well, I mean, because the
is a
trailer
trailer
is gonna get fucked up, man. They're not in the like they don't have like a foundation. It's like the tornado could be 2 miles away and it's still taking the trailer off the ground. It could be going through a development a mile away. Some of the houses are still gonna be standing, but that whole trailer park's wiped out.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. Every video.
Well, we're let's what a transition here. We're gonna go right from tornadoes and natural disasters right to my guy Sean Murphy. Talk some Pistons. That's
another
kind of a
natural
disaster
disaster.
within
That's a
itself.
natural
to be honest.
disaster.
Well, we're right on topic here. Natural
It's
disasters.
kind of
baby.
a natural disaster, maybe man-made disaster. But we're gonna bring on our great friend here, Sean Murphy from Half Court. We have the link in the description. Me and Sean, and Troy, we cook content every single Monday, all basketball-related content. So you guys should go check that out for all your Pistons/NBA things. But here, let's welcome in our good friend Sean Murphy. Sean, welcome to the program, man. How you doing?
Gentlemen, what's going on? I mean, you're asking how I'm doing. I feel like I got to ask, how are you guys doing? It's like post-draft week. You guys are talking about tornadoes and hurricanes. I think you guys are just describing the plot of a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie a minute ago. If I'm gathering what you guys are saying, but no, in all seriousness, I was supposed to be on last night. I done up. That's my bad. It's great to be here tonight. Thank you so much for having me. For real, it's great to be here with the boys. For real, it's good to see you.
Sean,
guys.
how you doing over there? How's the storm over there? You okay? You good? How's
You
your
know,
area?
on this side of the state, we're surviving. We're thriving. We're surviving.
All right.
We are enduring. We are A-okay, thankfully. Honestly, like all things considered, I think we get pretty lucky in Michigan as far as like storms and everything like that. You guys were kind of mentioning it a minute ago. Hurricanes exist. And so I think, like if the worst thing that Michigan has to deal with is some snow and then an occasional tornado that tears up like one part of the state, then I think we're pretty good. Just don't live in that part of the state. Skill issue,
Yep.
Fair.
Mhm.
It's fair.
Well, Sean, we got one natural disaster we got to worry about in Detroit. Currently, it's hopefully the next year or two and kind of subside and go away. And we could see some
a
rainbows,
wildfire
right
right
skies with the Detroit Pistons. Sean, I'll ask you, and I think right now where we're at, the lottery is this Sunday, the draft's approaching. Before we get to that, let's start with what the Pistons need to do right now, and that's hire a president of basketball operations.
Mhm.
What are some updates on it and kind of your take on where the Pistons should go with that search and what would be best for the organization? Because then we'll find out the future of a Troy Weaver and a Monty Williams.
Yeah, so the Pistons are definitely in the middle of their president of basketball operations search. I think, for a lack of better terms, they're waiting for certain teams to exit the playoffs in order for them to be able to further that process, ask permission to interview certain candidates. If you were to ask me, kind of like who I think, like some of the favorites are, I know Tim Connolly is a very popular name because of the success of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll leave it in your head on if you would want to leave that situation right now based on how they were playing this time last night. I would say a more likely name, and kind of the guy that I've kind of had circled personally as who I think is the most likely name is John Horst of the Milwaukee Bucks. He's someone who, there's kind of been a power struggle within the Milwaukee Bucks over the last couple of years. John Horst is actually from Saginaw, Michigan, so I think it makes a lot of sense. I know people were kind of throwing out the name JJ Redick as well. I personally think he's far more likely of a coaching candidate, but at the end of the day, I think we will get to hear a decision within, I would say, probably within the next week and a half to 2 weeks, because not only do the Pistons have to worry about who their next president of basketball operations is going to be, but that person subsequently is going to have to worry about if they want to change the general manager seat, if they want to change the head coaching seat. There's a lot of decisions that are based off of that one decision. So a lot of things looming, but I would imagine we'll hear something within the next week to week and a half. Generally, the list of candidates is going to be a lot more private for an executive position, just because they don't have to be as forthcoming with something like that.
Sean, first of all, I want to say I love your hat. Go Blue, baby. Great
Go
hat.
Blue.
But
got to celebrate a victor
Blazing.
somewhere, right, Booner?
Oh yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I'm trying to be a little bit more professional on the Pistons side. That's why I'm trying to cut down on the merch. I saw people say switch it. It's not because of any records or anything. It's not because of a bandwagon. I promise. Go ahead, Booner.
Hey, celebrate the national championship with the hat. I like that.
Exactly.
Want to kind of continue off that question though, is with the president of basketball operations situation going on. I want to know where you stand with Troy Weaver, because I've been pretty vocal for about 6-7 months now that I just think it's, in my opinion, it'd just be idiotic just to keep. And I wouldn't mind if Troy Weaver stays in the organization, because he does know how to evaluate talent. That is, I'm not going to deny that, but just being in that GM position, to me, it feels like, hey, we've done that. We've been there. It's over with. You've had your time. Let's move on. That's kind of the first part of the question. And second part, is it a little worried that this isn't happening a little quicker with the NBA combines this next week here coming up? Like, players are in Chicago, and you don't even know if your GM's going to be here. You don't have a basketball operations guy. You don't have anything. You don't know what's going on. Is that an issue to you as well? Because right now, what's going on with this whole, with Tom Gores and everything, to me is like one of the biggest red flags in all of sports, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would be more. Initially, that was something that was kind of a concern to me as well, Booner. I'll kind of answer your second part first. I would say whoever they're going to be bringing in to be that president of basketball operations more than likely already has a job in the NBA right now as we speak. So as far as like draft preparation, understanding this class, I would say whoever they're bringing in already has a working understanding of the draft class and everything that's going to be looming over the next couple of months. I would also say that, like to your point with Troy Weaver, I think that more than likely, the fact that this search is happening, kind of says where his overall position is at. You can say, like whatever you want about the talent that he's brought in. I've certainly been a proponent of his ability to draft, and I would still point to the fact that that is probably his biggest overall strength, despite the Killian pick. But when you look at the results at a certain point have to speak for themselves. And, when you look at where the direction of the organization is heading and just kind of the writing of the wall of bringing in a new president of basketball operations, they're more than likely going to want to have a person of their choosing in that seat at some point anyway, since they work so closely together. So I don't know what happens, with Troy this summer, but I would wager that within the next year or two that there would be a different general manager in place. People could say whatever, they'd like. I would probably have to agree with Adam that his roster construction was not the greatest. I'm in a position where I would have to use a little bit different wording, but I would still say that in his few years, he still managed to draft more talented players than, Joe Dumars and Stan Van Gundy did combined. He just didn't do the rest of the part where he built a roster around those guys. And I think, in part of some of the power struggle of the organization, him not having the full say on the head coaching job, I think that kind of did him under too with some of the, mishandling of the development of this past season.
Yeah, and Sean, obviously there's been a lot of question marks around the young guys, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. If the Pistons were to move off of one of those guys, which one of them do you think is more likely to be moved this summer, going into next season?
Oh man, Mike, you just want me to start the Pistons Civil War, huh? You want
he's
me
a
to
shit
to
starter,
spark
Mike.
the flames. My gosh. No, in all seriousness, I think it's unrealistic to expect all four of the core four guys to come back when you come off of two straight franchise, worst records, right? I think you look at the likelihood of the players that are going to be moved, and I would say, if I were a betting man, this isn't off of anything I've heard, but this is just kind of off of, speculation, the tea
I love
leaves, things
betting.
like that. I would say Jaden Ivey's probably the most likely to be moved just from a fit standpoint and just kind of how this past season went. I think Jalen Duren is probably a guy that they would be very hesitant to move off of just because of his overall upside, his skill set, his frame, everything like that. However, it is something to be said that you kind of have to make a decision on whether or not you think Duren is going to develop on the defensive side of the ball, because the thing with Jalen Duren is some of the offensive stuff is great and it's cool that he wants to develop his handle and things like that. But if he doesn't become that guy on the defensive side of the ball, then we're not going to get where this team needs to be. So, there is a Nicholas Claxton available on the market this offseason. There are other bigs, on the market who might not have as high of a ceiling and potential as a Jalen Duren, but you might think is both better than him defensively right now and better than Jalen Duren will be defensively going forward. So look, they're in a very difficult position because they have to make some very, they have to have some very tough conversations, and they have to, make some bets on guys' futures in both the in the positive and the negative way. And historically with this franchise, we've seen that bite them in the ass with, with the likes of Chris Middleton, Spencer Dinwiddie, just to name a couple of guys who have been in uniform, right? But look, that's just the reality of the business. I would say of the four guys, Cade, Asar, Ivy, and Duren, I would not be shocked if at least 1 to 2 of them got moved this offseason.
Damn. Yeah, that kind of transitions perfectly, Sean. Going into the offseason, I remember last week there was a little hype around Tobias Harris following his goose egg in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. When you look at this upcoming free agent class in this offseason, I know you just brought up Nick Claxton, but who are some other names that you could legitimately see being options for the Detroit Pistons, not so much hypothetical wannabe situations?
Yeah, so I know Pistons fans are, going to immediately hope, you brought up the hypotheticals. I know you want to hear Paul George. I know you want to hear Klay Thompson. I just don't think that's where the Pistons are at right now. I think they are more in the Tobias Harris, Nicholas Claxton, Malik Monk type of realm. I think Malik Monk would actually hit for them this offseason, if they're possibly pull that off. I know when you look at kind of like what allows you to get in that camp, it's winning and success. So, Orlando, who's kind of, was in a similar situation to us, they're actually, they reportedly have interest from Klay Thompson's camp. They might also, be interested in a Paul George. So that might open up a Malik Monk type guy to be available for Detroit. But look, I think that you are in that camp because you have to find both, value and players who are available to, to come to Detroit, but also guys who can contribute now. And I think those are the types of players who are going to be in that wheelhouse. I would also say that even though, that's the free agency market with the way the NBA works, there's no such thing really as a committed player to a team. Like, I would say the Pistons are set up to have a lot of options in the trade market as well. So I'd look at teams like Brooklyn. I'd look at teams like Atlanta. There's a lot of teams throughout the league where, with the way the new tax rules work this season, there's essentially what's called an apron system. And if you're in the second apron, you're mega. If you're in the first apron, you're only kind of. So it's one of those things where there's some teams that are also disappointed with where they're at, and they're going to have to make some decisions about where they're at. And fortunately for the Pistons, they have the most cap space in the league to absorb contracts. So I think you're going to be surprised by some of the players who are on the move this offseason as a result because of that. And the Pistons could potentially be benefactors.
Sean, I got to ask, the NBA playoffs, that we are in the midst of it. All right. You have the Timberwolves now up 2-0 against the Nuggets, both ass whoopings. Honestly, the way with how they're playing, it should not be a surprise, but it is wild to see Jokic. And we talked about on From Half Court how he needed to bounce back from game 1 and game 2. He had the turnovers. It happened once again. And we talked about the defensive adjustment, or at least the offensive adjustment going up against this Timberwolves team. The length they have, the problems they caught. They didn't even have Gobert, and they still caused problems. And you saw Anthony Edwards there give a shout out to Jaden McDaniels. But with just Anthony Edwards at the level he's playing at, the Timberwolves looking the way they do, how much of a threat are the Timberwolves? Because now you got the Mavericks and Thunder series that's going to start tonight. How much of a threat are they, Sean? Because I can't believe I'm saying this. Timberwolves have always had some good players, but in terms of actually amounting to this type of success, they might have a legit, not just superstar, but face of the league in Anthony Edwards.
Shout out Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, I'm going to level with you, Jeff. At a scale of 1 to 10, we're at about an 11 right now. I mean, I would not be surprised if a month from today we're talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves being an NBA championship team, because the level that they're playing at, and it's not just offense. I mean, the star of the show is Anthony Edwards, and rightfully so. I mean, his uprising over the last couple of years, I mean, it's been steady, but this year it's just gone to a different level. I mean, we're looking at a player, starting to come into his own and enter the conversation of being the best player in the world. And that's very much where Anthony Edwards is right now. And he's only 22 years old. But on top of that, the thing that's even more impressive about the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you kind of brought it up a second ago, it's their defense. And, it's the fact that not just to be as stifling as they were in games 1 and game 2, they were better in game 2, and Rudy Gobert was home celebrating the birth of his child. And so the fact that you have a team where, you can be that stifling. And again, it's not like we're viewing scrubs on the other sidelines here. This is the defending NBA champions with a perennial multi-time MVP, a guy who might potentially win his 3rd MVP this season. And they're just making them look like they're lost. Like Jamal Murray, we just saw have one of the most clutch playoff runs in NBA history. He was completely beside himself in game 2 and didn't know what to do with himself.
Wasn't even close with the heat pack either, Sean.
Yeah. I saw Tim Legler said, man, no wonder he was 3 of 18. He almost had as many hits with that heat pack. So, I mean, but like legitimately though, if there's any wrestling fans in here, I would have likened it to Brock Lesnar beating the living out of John Cena like 10 years ago. It's like one of those things where it's like, I can't believe I'm watching this, but here we are. And it's like, and this is very similar. I mean, we're from Detroit. The Minnesota Timberwolves, for all intents and purposes, they're the Detroit Lions of the NBA. This is their first. This is their first playoff series win since 2004. So, like the fact that they're in the situation.
My lights were flickering. I thought I was a goner.
Scared me when Gentry popped up. I was like, what's happening right now?
All right, we're good. Continue, Sean. We almost lost the man.
I thought he was upset. I was like, oh boy,
so did I.
Laid down hellfire and brimstone on me. But no, it's not only the best story in the NBA right now, but like it's one of the better stories in sports. And it's about to get even more fun because this summer is also Team USA. So like, and if you haven't seen the roster, I'd argue it's probably the best since the Dream Team in the 90s. And Anthony Edwards is on that list as well. So he's going to be alongside LeBron, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Devin Booker, all these guys. I mean, I think you're in for like a real passing of the torch summer. And I think Anthony Edwards is going to be the guy leading that charge because, man, he is special.
Yeah, it's going to be nice seeing Anthony Edwards take what is rightfully his from LeBron. I think the NBA is going to be off in a better spot when LeBron leaves and Anthony Edwards enters.
See what they do to me.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Anthony Edwards, he's going to be the face of the NBA. Him and Luka Doncic, the face of the NBA going forward.
All I know is Anthony Edwards doesn't complain, doesn't flop. He just plays ball. He goes out there and balls, Booner.
What am I just doing on the screen here? Am I supposed to answer a question? What was going on there?
You see Anthony Edwards. This is most NBA players. He complains. All right, let's act like the guy's almighty.
Yeah, I've
Lord
seen him
Jesus
complain. I've seen
They
him
all
complain.
complain.
I've seen everyone complain.
Not like Bron.
Oh my
Bron started it all.
Booner.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no,
all
I
right.
gotta-
LeBron is not the
Get
worst
outta here.
complaint. First of all, the worst complainer in the league right now is Luka Doncic. That guy needs
Luka
to
complains.
shut
That's
up
my favorite
sometime.
player.
Serial complainer.
He
Yeah,
does.
for
Insane.
sure. I
He's
enjoy him
everywhere.
complaining though. I think it's exciting. It's a fun. He complains and it's like, yeah, let's go, Luka. Go ahead.
Oh, he's
Let's
got
see
that
what you can do
competitive
here.
fire. It's fun to watch. Don't be
Yeah.
wrong, but it's just like there's certain times where it's like, dude, shut up. It's a layup in the first quarter. Like, move
Hey,
on to the next play.
I'm disappointed if I watch a Mavs game and Luka Doncic doesn't get a tech. I expect one every game. I expect that. Sean, I want to ask you this though. I'm going to transition. We were talking about LeBron there a little bit. I want to ask you about this Lakers situation with the head coach over there.
Oh man,
I've gone into it. Me and Jeff have gone head to head about this situation with Darvin Ham, and which is fine, but I saw something today, or it was yesterday. Someone came out and actually said, don't be surprised. I think it was Brian Windhorst that said, don't be surprised if you see Monty Williams in LA next year and Darvin Ham in Detroit. What are your thoughts on that and the Darvin Ham situation? I think I'm going to tell you this before you go. I think anyone who coaches LeBron James, I think Darvin Ham for his first head coaching job got absolutely screwed. And I do know he's had some mistakes. I just think he was in such a bad position. I think Darvin Ham is way better than what he's been portrayed to be. And I will say he's made mistakes. He was a first-time head coach. But what are your thoughts on all of that with the Darvin Ham, Lakers, and Monty Williams situation?
Booner, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm more inclined to agree with you in this situation because
Dang.
Jeff and I actually talked about this on the pod yesterday, and it is the LeBron James coaching fallacy where if you are the head coach of LeBron James or if you're a teammate of LeBron James, you get none of the credit when things go well, and you get all of the blame when things go the opposite. That's not opinion. That's just the way things have gone. And Darvin Ham, listen, I'm not saying that he's a great coach, but he certainly was given a lot of credit for their Western Conference Finals run last season when they were a top 5 defensive team. And listen, we don't know how far they would have gotten this season. We just know that they drew the defending champs who swept them, and they literally didn't get their first win against them until the playoffs for it was like 5 calendar years since the Lakers had beaten the Nuggets. So it was just a flat out mismatch. So
Yep.
I think when you're talking about, a really difficult situation for Darvin Ham to be in, I absolutely agree with you. And, you look at when looking at the kind of the reasoning behind Brian Windhorst's, claims and just kind of the reporting, not many other coaches are available, especially, coaches, with that kind of tutelage, with that name power behind them, the ones that the Lakers were interested in, Jason Kidd got a multi-year extension with the Mavericks, which why would you leave Luka Doncic? Absolutely. If I'm Jason Kidd, I'm signing an extension there. Tyronn Lue, the head coach of the Clippers, Steve Ballmer would rather jump off of the roof of his brand new arena than let Tyronn Lue leave the Clippers to go coach the Lakers. So that's just not happening. So again, I think it comes down to whoever that new president is, because if it is, say, a John Horst who comes into the Pistons front office and wants to bring in a new head coach, there is that relationship, that previous relationship from their time in Milwaukee, right? So I think that would certainly make a lot of sense if you connect those dots. And if Monty were to want to coach again, it does kind of fit his circumstances in the sense that he might not want another rebuilding team at this stage of his career. He might not, really have the patience for the situation in Detroit that he thought he has, which I think is kind of part of why you've seen some of the dejection and things like that as the season has gone on, just kind of questioning if he's actually, ready for this, so to speak. So I think the Lakers situation would certainly make a lot of sense for him. Again, I think it just comes down to who that president's going to be, because with the scale of the contract, with the respect that Monty does have, I'm not saying that this is my opinion or this is, like what I think should happen, but it's very much not out of the realm of the possibility, very similar to Russell Wilson with the Broncos, where they might want to run it back one more year for the sake of, the type of contract they just gave him.
Bring Darvin Ham home. Bring that man home. Give me Darvin Ham here. Jeff,
Here we go.
give me
Bro,
Darvin
Monty
Ham.
Williams isn't a bad coach.
No, Darvin Ham's a better coach.
As a dog
Give me
shit
Darvin
roster.
Ham.
But anyways,
Give me Darvin Ham.
no.
Jeff, you
Give
heard me.
Monty Williams a regular roster.
Bring that
Booner's
man
ready
up.
to marinate with Darvin Ham. That's all I know.
Yeah.
You can't
Oh,
wait.
so
It's
for
almost
that.
like he knew his like son or something.
Bro,
It's
come
weird.
on, no bias over here. It's in the family
Yeah.
over here. Bring Darvin Ham home. This is about
So
family.
Sean, obviously,
Did you just
we
say
got-
there's no bias? It's in the family. Like, did you just say those two
Yeah.
things
You
back to
caught
back?
that too?
Like there's no bias. It's in the family. Keep it in the family is a very contradictory statement.
Yeah, no.
Off of
I'm-
the wording.
No bias, but I'm fighting for family over here. Bring Darv back.
That's bias.
But that's
bad bias.
that is
Not
the
bias, boy.
definition of bias.
I don't know what you boys are talking about. Give me Darvin Ham to the Detroit Pistons. Come on. Bring that man
And
home.
Sean, obviously, we got to let the draft lottery settle. But is there one rookie or two rookies that you have your eye on for the Pistons to draft this year? Hopefully, it's a guy that doesn't shoot 30%. Fits the
Okay,
roster.
are you
but
all right?
you know what?
At
Hey, at least he
Red
can play
Wings
defense. I
quarter
guess.
shit.
This is a toxic,
Feels all high
toxic
and
Pistons
mighty.
environment.
So if last year's draft lottery was the most exciting lottery in years, this is the least. And so that's the unfortunate truth about it. Now look, there are some decently, intriguing prospects. I would say probably, like the one is like Alexander Sarr, just because he's like a 7-foot big man, who can potentially stretch the floor. When you're looking at prototypes of top guys at the top of the draft, that kind of fits that mold. But I would say generally, if you're Detroit, I think the best case scenario would be trying to hopefully land, the top pick in the lottery so that they could try and potentially position that to, trade for a established talent, look at a team who perhaps needs to rebuild, or, look at, where they need to go, say like maybe like a Brooklyn who don't have many of their own picks because of the moves that they've made, giving them a number 1 overall pick to try and help and reboot their franchise might make some sense. So, I don't know if the Pistons are necessarily, super intrigued with getting more young talent, seeing that, the young rebuilding model is kind of what they've been leaning on the last few years. And I think, they realize that, in order for them to start taking some steps forward, they need to start blending some of that young talent with established veterans who can help those guys grow. So, I not to say that they're going to definitely trade the pick, not to say that there aren't guys that they have interest in this draft, but when you're looking at, ultimately what would make the Pistons better right now, it would be an established player. So I think for the Pistons, they would look to maybe move that pick, but to answer your question, it's just not a great draft. And, it's not that there aren't going to be, like great players, like Jalen Williams' brother actually is a player that I really like. He's coming into this class. And if you've paid attention to the Thunder the last couple of years, he's been a really fun player to watch. So one player that I definitely hope we don't just go for just for the sake of trying to get his dad is Bronny James. If I'm Bronny, I'm going back. I'm just answering that question right now because I just don't want to hear it. He just go back to school. He's not ready. He's not
Buckeyes, baby.
like when you go through a life-threatening incident and then come right back to school and you can't even start for a USC team that didn't even make the NIT, just go back to school. That's my little soapbox.
Yeah, Klotz, you got you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, so I want to stay in the Eastern Conference here, and I see those Knicks out in New York. Some say it's Jalen Brunson's team. I would argue it's Dante DiVincenzo's team. But Tim, do you think he's doing something special out there? Do you think the Knicks, they're legitimate? Do you think they finally arrived?
Orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies. No, I'm very
It's
into
a
what
Dante.
I am very into what they're building out in New York. And if you've known me for a little while, Jeff can attest to this. I've been a Jalen Brunson fan before Jalen Brunson was believed into this magnitude. So I am very big on what they're building. I think that the thing with the Knicks is it's really about next season because they are one of those teams that is positioned with cap space, with assets. Right now, even, Mitchell Robinson is going to be is out again for another 6 to 8 weeks. So they just lost another big man for the rest of the playoffs. Julius Randle is out for the rest of the playoffs. So they're making this run and they're not even fully manned. and they could still get to the Eastern Conference Finals and put up a fight against the Boston Celtics. If I'm looking at like, what to watch for the Knicks, this offseason, if I'm New York Knicks, I'm taking a real look at what's going on in Phoenix, because not only have I heard rumblings that Devin Booker's interested in potentially playing for me, but I also feel really comfortable that if he wants out, I could get Kevin Durant. And if you could bring Kevin Durant to the New York Knicks, right the wrong of him going to Brooklyn, put him alongside Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo and some of those boys, are you telling me that's not an enticing option to get out of the East? I mean, that's orange and blue skies if we're talking orange and blue skies. So they are, props to the Knicks. They're truly, in my opinion, like that type of piece away from being, a legitimate championship contender. I think they're like the New York Knicks are actually one of the prominent teams in the East. And I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, God, it would be a pipe dream if the Pistons were able to land my guy Devin Booker. I would be ecstatic, but it's not gonna happen.
Emphasis on pipe dream.
I'll ask you, Sean, before you leave. All right, this is like I gotta ask you something, a difficult question, but I think you can handle it. Give me a percentage. Early, yes, because we don't know who the president of basketball operations is, but I'll still ask it. Percentage that Troy Weaver is the GM next season.
Man, you just are putting me. This is crunch time. Oh, you're coming right on the hot seat.
Sean, I think this is an easy answer. I think you can easily win this one.
Oh, no winning. Let's hear.
No, there's a win answer here.
I don't think it's any higher than 30%. I think that, in my personal opinion, the whoever comes into that seat, it might be for one more off season. It might be, like the next season they might want to like decide to make that move. But in my personal opinion, it's only inevitable when you have the record. When you're making this type of move in the first place, you're already taking the head of basketball operations power out of the hands of Troy Weaver. If that's not a writing on the wall type of move, I don't know what is. So, just in my personal opinion, I think it would have already, I think it probably would have already happened in most other circumstances, but I do think that Tom Gores just wants to give whoever comes in. I do think he just wants to give them that ultimate autonomy to pick, their people. So I think at this point it's kind of just a formality, but again, that's just where it is.
Well, great stuff, Sean. We appreciate you. I can't wait. I mean, as the draft approaches, we want to have you on a lot more. Obviously, check me and Sean out. We do content every single week.
Shout out
from Half Court. So all NBA Pistons related content, that is the place to go. It'll be in the description. Sean, I appreciate you so much, man. Stay safe out there. All right. Hopefully,
hey boys, appreciate you having me on. I will not oversleep next time. Damn it, I will be right here.
There you go, Sean. There you go, Sean Murphy.
Appreciate you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Appreciate you, boys.
Yep, we'll see you later, Sean. It's my guy. Continuing to crush there. And while we were doing the interview, I was a little worried because behind me, the rain was picking up. Now it's kind of gone.
I was scared.
Well,
good over there, Jeff.
Power. I don't want the power to go out. As long as I can do whatever the hell it does out there, but as long as the power's out, we're good.
If the power goes out, you just hop on your phone and in the dark and finish the show up. That's what I would do. What would Dan do? What would Brad Holmes do?
And this was a fact. This actually did happen. My front door, I walked off stream. My front door wasn't closed all the way, so it swung open. Not good, but it's good now. Locked.
Good. Is it still raining over by you, Gentry? Or is it quieted down?
Doesn't look like it.
Like
it's not even raining here,
boys.
I
don't even know what's going on here. I'm in the basement. I have no clue.
But dude, it got wild. It was loud as fuck.
Hey, appreciate Nicholas Earl. He became a Crunch member earlier when the interview started. We appreciate you, Nicholas Earl.
Legend.
A lot there. Yeah, absolute legend. I do want to get into the NFL tiers because I think this is.
I've got notes on this.
Pro football something. I can't see the logo. But they put this out, and I do. I have some problems with this list, and we're gonna get into it. How I feel and how you guys feel. So check this tier. This is according to the outlet that put it out. All right. And we're going to have our own NFL tier list. We'll come out with that soon and kind of redesign it. But you look at the tiers, right? We'll start tier 6, the worst teams. They have Arizona, the Cardinals, New England Patriots, Washington Commanders, New York Giants, Denver Broncos, Carolina Panthers. Tier 5, New Orleans Saints, Minnesota Vikings, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee Titans. Tier 4, Los Angeles Rams, Pittsburgh Steelers, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Chargers. Tier 3, the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, which I'll get to, Miami Dolphins, Cleveland Browns, Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears. Tier 2, Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, Houston Texans, Green Bay Packers, New York Jets. And then Tier 1, there's only 3 teams, San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Detroit Lions.
Lions, baby.
So I'll start with my biggest issue with this entire list here. I think Buffalo should be a tier lower.
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
well,
yeah.
my notes say opposite. My notes say go up 1 tier.
Oh my god, that's
my
disgusting. That's disgusting.
My notes are switch the Jets and the Bills. And the
Oh.
Eagles. And the Eagles up. The Eagles up.
I
The
can
Eagles
live with the
too.
Eagles. No way, the Bills, man.
I
I
have the
think
Eagles
I just
tier
I think
2,
that's a
and
personal
then
preference, guys, at this point.
I think the Eagles are tier 2 and the Rams are tier 3. If
Yep.
Stafford stays healthy, there's no way they're not in that tier of teams. And people are sleeping on the Eagles. Me and Lucas have been saying it for weeks now. They're going to bounce back.
Eagles are going to win the division. They're going to be good this year.
Goddamn
Eagles
right.
are going to be
yeah,
good.
I think we're all in lockstep there. Eagles should be up a tier. They're going to be really good.
It's going to be the 49ers, Lions, and the Eagles in the NFC, and that is it.
Anything before we get to the Bill stuff, because I am Booner, you are on the stand with the Bill stuff, but Lucas and Gentry, anything you guys you mentioned
no way in God's green earth should the Cleveland Browns be over my Indianapolis Colts, and that's just a fact. There's no way. Playing in the AFC North compared to the AFC South is just a complete difference. When you look at the rosters, I think they're built pretty similarly. I think Steichen, you already know my bias against Stefanski, but I think it's pretty hard to argue that as far as a coaching mind, Shane Steichen is not better than Kevin Stefanski. And fuck it, I'll say it. I think Anthony Richardson has potential to have a better season than Deshaun Watson this year. So I'm swapping the Colts and the Browns right now. And even the Bears. I think the Bears are a little high, to be honest. Like if I'm looking at the Chargers and even the Jags, maybe the Steelers. I mean, if Russ can play just half as well as he did last year, I think he's still better than Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky.
And I would say that if you put the Ravens in tier 1, I could see why you could do it. But I mean, them in tier 2 is fine, but I could see them being a tier 1 team. Even with the defensive changes they made, they're still going to be really good. In the hardest division of football, probably. Maybe.
So we do agree on most of these. The one that I don't understand how you can even fathom is the Bills moving to tier 2. And not only that, there's more. The Jets moving down.
I've got more than just that in my notes here. Come on now. I've got a lot of movement here for my tier.
All right.
list.
So give me the rest of your notes, and then you are on the stand for the Bills take.
Okay, I'm on the stand always for the Bills. Come on now, right? Tier 6, I think tier 6 is fine. Tier 5, if I had to move anything with tier 5, I think we could make a little bit of an argument. Maybe the Saints move up 1, maybe. That's like a maybe. Like if you're nitpicking 4, 5, and 6. I think with tier 4, I'm with Klotz here. I think you can make an argument from what the Bucks did last year, and they added some pieces, and now they're returning almost everyone. I think you could argue the Bucks should be up in tier 3, the Colts potentially, and then I think the Chargers are going to be good this year. So I think you could say the Chargers up in tier 3. Now, if you move 3 teams up, you've got to move some teams down. I think the Bears have no business right now of being in tier 3. No business in being tier 3 yet. None whatsoever. Browns. Yeah, the Browns won a lot of football games. I would take, to Klotz's point, I would take the Colts and the Bucks right now over the Browns. That's just preference, but that's to me. If I'm moving those things around 3 and 4, those are what I'm moving around in 3 or 4. I'm moving up the Colts, Chargers, and the Bucks, and I'm taking the Bears out of that. Bears don't deserve to be there yet. Now, Eagles, again, I said the Eagles should be tier 2, and they should be higher end of the tier 2. They should be at the high end of tier 2 up there with the Ravens and the Bengals and Texans, in my opinion. Like, to be honest, I think the Texans, Bengals, Ravens, and Eagles are higher than the Packers. You can make the Packers their own tier in between 2 and 3, but I think those teams are right there because I think the Packers are good. I just think those are teams that are contending for the Super Bowl. I don't see the Packers contending for a Super Bowl this year. You see what I'm saying with that?
Yeah.
And then
no, go on.
That's just where I think with the Jets, like I don't think the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl or contend in the AFC this year. Like, I think they're going to be a good football team. I just can't picture the Jets this year playing in a Super Bowl. That's why I take them out of
with
tier
the Bills.
With the Bills, though, I think just with Josh Allen in his prime right now, and I know, Booner, you're a Josh Allen guy. I just think if you have a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, you have a chance always.
What about a top 5 quarterback?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers coming off an ACL, or Achilles, I'm gonna put him at a top 5 right now.
So what's Justin Herbert doing in tier 4 then?
I moved him up.
So you put him in tier 3. So you think they have a chance of winning a Super Bowl by default because they have a top 5 quarterback?
I think they're going to be competing for playoffs. That's why I have them in tier 3.
Well, that's what I think the Bills will be doing, competing for the playoffs.
No, I think the Bills will have a chance. That's just preference again, guys. Like that's just like I think the Bills. That was like when we went over that division. I think the Bills are going to win that division. You guys had the Jets. That's just what it is.
I think Miami comes in second,
and I think the Bills win it.
That's crazy.
So, all right, that's another lunch bet we can make here, Jeff. Is I think the Bills are. You could. I get first and second, and you get third and fourth. If you think the Dolphins and the Jets finish above them.
You know what? Let's just go straight up. If the Bills win the division, I'll buy you lunch.
Well, no, because you think they're not going to. You think they're going to get third.
Yeah, but you think they're going to win.
I do, but he thinks third. Let's meet in the middle.
No,
stand on business.
I could just bet on my phone with with FanDuel and get better odds than I would with you. I'm not doing that.
Oh,
I need some sort of
it on the line. You don't want to pick.
I'll bet on them to win the division. I will bet on them this year to win the division.
Well, how about you double it up? You'll win a free lunch and money. Come on,
because they're probably like plus 200. I'll make more money doing that.
No, make money and get a free lunch.
I could put money down to get a free lunch.
See, he getting cold feet. I'm telling you,
they're gonna win the division.
You
think they're gonna get third? I don't think it's that crazy for me to say, to be honest. I don't. You guys are acting like it's like I'm saying take the Giants in tier 6 and put them up to tier 2.
No, see now
I'm literally saying I think
very
the Bills
on brand, very on brand exaggeration from Booner. No one's saying.
I mean, that's how you guys are acting. You guys are acting like I just said the craziest thing in the NFL.
About how the Green Bay Packers might be on that tier, and the Green Bay Packers are without a doubt a better team than the Buffalo Bills are all around. I understand that Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but there was many years when Drew Brees was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, just going 500. There was many years when Aaron Rodgers was arguably in his prime, winning 9 games. Like, again, this is the NFL. They're playing in a very tough division. They also have Aaron Rodgers and the Miami. I'm not going to say Tua, but the Miami's Dolphins offense is insane. Like, that's a lot of points to keep up with. And then you look at the defense.
I think it is.
Well, I think there's a real chance. I mean, the Patriots even give the Bills a run for their money.
Oh, I mean, I'm out. I'm leaving them. I'm not doing this.
You want to go back and look? The Patriots beat the Bills. The Patriots have beaten the Bills over the. I'm not saying for the division, Booner. You can take your head.
You just said they could give them a run for their money in the division.
I can go back and look over the last 3 years, and the Patriots have won numerous matchups.
I'm not talking about head to head. We're talking about winning the division.
But did you not? That's what I'm saying. When you talk about winning the division, you have to win games within the division.
You have
and I think the Jets cause problems for them. I think the Dolphins cause problems for them, and that's not even bringing up the Patriots, who over the last couple of years, when the Bills were better, have caused problems for them.
You guys are just talking to me like I'm stupid. Like the Bills didn't just win 4 straight divisions. And they still have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
They lost Jordan Poyer. They just
lost. But they rebuilt. They brought other pieces in. Like, what are we doing?
Correct, but not they. Okay, they
Josh
lost
Allen.
Diggs. They lost Gabriel Davis, and they inserted Curtis Samuel.
Keon Coleman.
Is that Stephon Diggs? He's not going to have nearly the chemistry of Gabriel Davis. Like,
Stephon Diggs. What did Stephon Diggs do the last 6 or 7 games of the season? He averaged 30 yards per game. He averaged 30 yards per game and 0 touchdowns the last 6 games.
Oh, so now Stephon
definitely command a lot.
No, I'm not saying that, but you're acting like they have Josh Allen. They have Josh Allen. You guys would sit there and die for Caleb Williams, thinking that they're going to make the playoffs.
No, I said the Bills should be, or the Bears should be moved down a tier. The Bills are a 9-win team, and that's okay considering
you know all. You know all.
No, don't do that.
Why can't I have an opinion about the Bills? They won the division 4 straight years.
So it's got to come to an
end. Put a little respect on their name. Come on.
Well, the Packers have won the division a lot, so I'm picking them this year to win the division. Packers.
All right, go ahead. They didn't win it last year, though. The Bills did. And
they've won a lot. They've won a lot of
best quarterback in the NFL.
They've won a lot of divisions, so I'm rolling with the Packers.
Unbelievable.
No.
Unbelievable for me. But you guys are acting like
I did look it up.
No, by the way,
it's
correct
just
line, the
unbelievable. You
winner.
guys are acting like to Adam's point. I know I can have an opinion. They're acting like I can't have one in my opinion. Like
That's
we're going,
not
boy,
true. It's just when you say stuff and we're like, "What are you talking about?" And then we bring up.
you know what I'm
factual-
talking about. I'm saying it
when-
very
when you're
clear.
like,
Bills are going to win the
Stephon Diggs,
division.
When you bring
That
up
was very
Keon
clear what I'm
Coleman,
talking about.
you can have a clue, but you don't have to. We don't have to agree with it, and then we give you a response back. It doesn't mean that we don't act like you can't talk.
You just stand on business, Boone.
I'm standing on business. I'm not. I'm on it.
Well, your stay on business was, well, you know all.
Well, yeah. All the boys
was
know
your
all.
response.
Quarterback guru, wide receiver guru.
I think you guys are starting to catch on to my thing over here. This is good. We're
Yeah,
starting to get a little
that's
comfortable
your-
in the room.
Yeah, well,
Adam Baydoun, the quarterback guru over there.
No, that's how you know you get Booner to his the point where he starts calling you a guru or you know all.
You know all.
That's how
You know all.
Yeah, no. Listen, you can have your opinion about the Bills. I disagree with it, but because I don't. I think the Bills are going to have like a 9-8 year, and then they'll be back. You know, they'll bounce back.
So just disrespectful.
What a winning record! What are you talking about?
All right,
9-8.
I just can't wait for them to be good. I can't wait. I hope they win the Super Bowl. Not win it, actually. Lions. I hope they go to the Super Bowl. And the
all
Lions
they
beat them
needed
by
to do
40.
was lose half the roster to win a Super Bowl. It's like
Reload them with rookies, baby.
Sometimes you got to get some people out of town. Sometimes you got to get people out of
Sean
town.
McDermott, they're going to get to the Super Bowl and then they're going
Yeah.
to fire
Fire
him.
Sean.
Yeah,
Fire
they're
Sean.
gonna fire him.
Fire Sean.
Correlate. That
I
doesn't
should own the team.
correlate.
NFL guru. NFL guru. He
NFL
If
knows.
you
Guru.
think Sean
Coach
McDermott
Guru.
will be fired,
Coach
you should
Guru,
be like, they're
brother.
going to not do well, and he's going to get fired.
Yeah, Ben Johnson will be the coach next year, and then it will be Ben Johnson versus Dan Campbell, Bills, Lions in the Super Bowl 2025. NFL Guru, brother.
All right, Mailbag brothers.
Man just said that Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, fire Sean McDermott.
No, they're not going to win it. They're not going to win it. I did not say they're going to win it.
Or-
Take that
or
back.
win the
Lions win the
division.
Super Bowl.
Where are they
Lions
going to go in
win
the
Super Bowl.
playoffs? Win the division, go on a run, baby.
Go to the
And
Super
then
Bowl
they
versus
fire
Lions.
Sean McDermott right away, and then they bring in Ben Johnson.
The Chiefs have been dominating the AFC for so long, but that ends. That just ends. They got a receiving core, even though Rasheed Rice.
Yeah,
Motherfucker.
let's not
I-
talk
I
about
do
that,
like.
man.
I will give you this, Boone. I do like Keon Coleman. I do.
Thank you.
I don't think he's. Unless apparently with the success they'll have, you expect him to have a huge year. Which like I don't.
I see where you guys are coming. They got rid of a lot of big pieces. I will say yes. It was one of those situations to where they're at that point, and a lot of teams do it. The Chiefs had to do it with Tyreek and some other guys. You get to a point when you have a quarterback getting paid a lot of money. You have a lot of money going different spots. You're gonna have to part ways with some big time players. They did that. I don't think that means they're completely out of contention. I do think it's tougher. It's going to be a tougher road for them. I think they're still, though, come week 16, 17, 18, they're not going to be sitting there outside looking in a vision. It's going to be the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills come the last 3 weeks, just like last year. They're going to be sitting there and they're going to all be within one game of each other, and it's who's going to win that division. It's going to be up for grabs. I just think with Josh Allen, you always have a chance. With Patrick Mahomes, you always have a chance.
Dude,
With Joe Burrow,
that's not the same
you always
tier,
have
though.
a chance.
That's not the same tier.
I just think that's where I'm at with it.
You can't outside of Matt Milano, you can't name an elite player on the Bills roster this year.
I mean, like this is so disrespectful. This is why sometimes me and Adam,
No. Booner,
6 and 11
just
is
hear me out for a
disrespectful.
second because
I'm
I
a
think
tier
you'll agree
guru.
with
Don't
me.
forget.
I think you'll agree with me here, Booner. And
Right.
Jeff and Gentry, I'm pretty sure we're all saying the same thing. It's just you got to pull away that attachment you have to the Bills. The Bills were a very good team, the elite team over the last 4 seasons. But now they're going to be transitioning to a new roster. So for one of these years, they got to stop being elite and just be good. So the Bills will be a 9-10 win team this year. And then next year, they'll go back to being a 12-win team, a 13-win team. But this year, you have to admit that this is going to be a down year for the recent Buffalo Bills standard.
So can I ask you, or you know what? I'm with you on that because I did a couple of minutes ago. I did say they got rid of a lot of guys. So I do feel like it is a different roster. They're going through that phase right now to where they are rebuilding certain spots. Not completely. Jeff, get that look off your face over there. My question though with this Klotzy, say they're at 10 wins, right? Say this. Let's say at week 17, they win week 17 to get 10 wins, right? They're sitting there at, what would that be? 10 and 6, right? 16. So they have 10 and 6 going into the final week. 10 and 6 going into the final week. If you're 10 and 6 going into the final week, I believe that division, I think they won the division last year with 11 wins. you have a chance. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're.
Me
I
saying
think,
10 wins though, Boone, was me trying to be very generous. I
Okay.
think if anything, if you're saying 10 wins, they're closer to an 8-win team. But I'm just trying to go with the narrative.
That's where
I
you
didn't wanna
lose me.
say it, but
That's
they're
where you
not
lose
gonna be
me.
going into week 17 with 10 wins.
where you
No
lose
way.
me.
No way in hell.
That's where you're
No way in
losing
hell.
me. I just can't wait. This is gonna be a fun season because and it sucks that we have to wait so long because I want to know so bad what these Bills do.
I think you're gonna be a very unhappy man when the
I'm okay.
season starts going.
I'm pretty, and we've experienced things.
Watch,
a
they'll
lot
be
with
like
each other.
3-3, and he'll be like, "Ha!" I told you, like they're like mid as hell.
No, guys, we've experienced a lot with each other doing shows and our takes. I have, if they win 8 games, I will put on the stand, and Jeff, you know this too, Clot, like I will sit up here and say I was wrong. I thought they could win the division. I was off. I looked at them wrong, but right now I think they can. So until then.
Yeah.
Remember last year I had Josh Allen win an MVP and like it was like week 6 and he was like leading all the votes at the time and I was like, I told you guys, and then he just dropped off instantly the next week. He threw like 3 picks.
Because I believe
I'm not a Bills fan too, by the way. I'm a Josh Allen. He's my favorite player, Josh Allen.
I think the Bills are going to fire Sean McDermott, therefore they will struggle, which will push them to fire him. That's like
I disagree.
Dude, Miami, they took so many injuries on the defensive side of the ball.
Guys,
man.
it's going to be one of those situations to where with Sean McDermott, it's if you win 9 or 10 games, whatever it is, to where you've been you haven't gotten over that hump to where
if you win 10, 11 games with this roster, that's pretty good, man.
There's just those situations though to where it's like, dude, we've won 10 games for like 5 straight years and we haven't won anything.
Nobody.
We have to move on from you, dude. We need someone else.
Okay, I don't want to find myself defending Sean McDermott, but like that
happens.
It happens. That thought process like messes with me a little bit. Like
that's how you go from Jim Caldwell to Matt Patricia.
I'm
not saying that Jim Caldwell was like a hell of a coach. But you're going from mid to just.
Why is Adam saying we? I didn't say we with the Bills. Come on now. This is disrespectful.
I can't wait. It'll be fun when the season.
I mean, he's saying 5-12, 7-10 at best. What are we doing?
Trying to get you riled up, Boone.
Yeah, 5-12 is aggressive. I wouldn't go that. I think
it's unbelievable. When I say we, I mean me and Josh Allen too.
The glazing that's going on is just ridiculous here. You're like, now here's the guy, like Chris Collinsworth style, every 3 seconds with Josh Allen right now, Boone.
Yeah,
he is a dude.
Yeah, I mean, even that guy up north, skill position, all pros come from the team they are on mostly. How is the defense? Who is the OC? Who is the quarterback, running back, wide receiver? These boxes checked to have a head start at all pro. I don't know what that. I think he was talking about something else.
What about this? Bring family, baby. Family. Bring them in.
Yeah, you would love that, wouldn't you?
Dude, that's it.
Then they could hire an NBA coach and Booner would pick them to win the division. I wholeheartedly.
If they hire Darvin Ham, I would.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I can't wait. All right. Well, let's get the mailbag. I mean, we got like 6 minutes left. I feel like we just kind of passed on some questions. I don't know if you guys
the bag of mail.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, we argue about random stuff, and it kind of takes over the time a little bit. If you guys get any questions, put them in the chat. We'll get to them.
So do you, Adam.
Look at the Jesse Adams. Hey, Jeff, Lucas, is the reason Booner loves the Bills because of Josh Allen? And secondly, he wants to jump through a table with Bills Mafia. I'm thinking yes. Don't you
Both
agree?
are true. I'm not a Bills fan. I am a Josh Allen. I'm a Josh Allen stan. And secondly, the Bills Mafia. I would love to jump through a table. I would love to perform.
Well, it's okay to have a secondary team. You like the Bills.
Except you can't have a secondary team in the NFC. That's wrong.
Like Jeff?
Does he have one?
The NFC North, bro. Not even the NFC. The NFC
come on
North.
now.
I know.
Go Bears! Bear down. You're going to hear Jeff week 4. Bear down. Bear down, Bear Gang. Chicago Bear Nation. Bear down. Have a fucking Bears scarf on.
To answer this question, it's going to be Carlton and Terrion.
Yeah, we all agree with that. Jesus, man. You guys are
oh, man.
What is him?
Adam.
I told you.
Jesus.
What did Adam say?
Yeah, Zay.
You can read it, Booner.
Jesus. That is aggressive.
Don't get me started with you, Adam. If we want
what
to
about
do
Ryan? what
want to do
about
a
Ryan?
roast.
Mailbag Q&A. Booner, who would you trade on the Lions for Josh Allen?
No one. I'm Jared Goff winning a Super Bowl with Goff.
Almost got him. Almost got
Top
him.
3 quarterback. Top 3.
Ladies
Yeah,
and
he is.
gentlemen,
It's a lot of
we
money,
got-
though.
Gives
You got to
as
lose a
long
lot
as
of
you
guys.
got
I
him.
like the way Brad Holmes is building our football team.
So what if he's saying what if you were to trade one? If that was in
I would
plan
not.
for Brad Holmes?
I would not.
Hmm.
Killian
To
Hayes.
be honest, I think we split, but more likely to sweep. I'm still going with the Lions.
I think they split. More likely to sweep. Ooh.
The Lions.
The Lions, yeah. I hate going that route because, like, I think Packers would be like Packers. Like, that one is like, that's a tough question. I don't think there will be a sweep. I think they sweep the Vikings. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta go with that. I think they go 1-1. I think they lose 2 division games this year, 4-6 or 4-2 in the division, which I think is fair.
Anakin Mailbag, of the 4 of you, who's winning a Smash Bros match?
Nah, I'm last.
Probably me.
I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, dude, I haven't played Smash Bros in probably a decade, so I would get smashed.
I'm not gonna lie. I tapped in with my son on the Switch.
Did
No
you?
one wants smoke.
He's
No
still
one
got
wants-
it. He's still got it.
Yeah, I think,
Dude,
I
I was-
think, like, it's a great game.
I was the
game.
kid that just spammed one button, so I would get you stuck in just a punch. And I
Real
wouldn't stop.
question is, what character are you using?
That was me. My brother used to get so mad.
I
That's the
couldn't
real
tell you.
question.
Judge.
What character are you using, Booner?
I don't even know all the characters. I just picked the coolest looking one.
I'm
and
gonna
I'm
be
ready to
honest.
go.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna just roll with Luigi. That's my dog. But
Is Bowser?
yeah, that's how you know I'm a scrub. I'm picking like, okay, I'll pick the Italian dude. I mean, there's a lot in there. There's like so many different video games they have.
Is
for
Bowser
characters.
one an option?
Yeah, I think
Bowser
so.
is,
Yeah,
I'll take Bowser.
Got all the Mario dudes.
I think they have Zelda on there, don't they?
Yeah.
Zelda action.
Shout out.
Give Zelda to work.
So they got some. All right, let's get to our next question. We have Jeff here. Mailbag: sour or regular gummies? Well, what kind of gummies we talking about here, boys? I mean,
Neither.
right. Give me sour though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going sour.
For sure. Sour.
Neither.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, you drink a Sour Patch energy drink every morning, so
Not
you know I
anymore.
can make
Not
some
anymore.
brand. What do you got? Hey, Mike got me onto those. 100%.
Flavor?
I love them.
Strawberry or
No
watermelon.
free ads. No free ads, but ads.
No, this can be a free ad. They can sponsor us too.
Aren't we getting a Celsius
Give me them free
sponsorship?
drinks.
I think we're getting a Celsius sponsorship.
Maybe in the works.
Or the Celsius sponsor me.
Maybe.
And
Us,
Phil,
boys.
he says, Mailbag, did the Lions finally do enough to stop running quarterbacks?
No,
Probably not.
no.
It's just hard
no.
enough. It's like every defensive coordinator's worst nightmare as it is. Like any
It's
quarterback.
tough, dude.
So I'll look at Adam. Don't drink that shit. So unhealthy. As he shakes his boba tea with extra
Extra
ice,
ice.
Puts his
extra
headband
ice.
back.
Yeah, it's not even a headband. It's a sweatband, bro.
shakes
There's
his,
a, like-
his boba tea. Oh gosh. Hey, sorry, Adam. I'm just exposing a little bit.
We'll leak it. Hey, we
Adam
should-
used to drink like 8 cups of coffee a day. He can't talk.
Dude, that man was tweaking. I mean, he was tweaking for sure. I mean, that's how guy worked like 18 hours out of the day. So like he was on all types of coffee, freaking all day, every day. Now
The
he's in the
only
boba
reason-
now. All
The only
right.
reason he's healthy is his wife's amazing cook and whips up everything
Dude,
for him.
his
That's the only
wife-
reason he's healthy.
She can cook. Me and Mike went over, we hung out with Adam. All of a sudden, there's chocolate chip banana bread right there, fresh out the oven.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Booner, again, look at us,
Delicious.
Booner.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Well, we had to
Just
run
getting
errands
ridiculous.
for the draft party, and we stopped in there.
Klotzy, dude, I got somewhere we can go and we get some chocolate chip banana nut
No,
muffin
I-
bread.
Hey, don't
Not
do
even
that,
worth it,
Lucas.
Booner. Not even worth it.
Lucas,
Klotzy,
remember,
Klotzy,
this guy
you know,
doesn't like
I'll
long
text
walks
you.
to the statue and stuff. Don't make it. Don't make
Yeah,
it
but
seem
then
like
you're
it's
eating this.
complicated.
I thought I could trust you, Gentry, to never stab me in my back and leave me deserted. But
What
now
about me? You had no
Hey,
expectations.
you didn't
for
even
your-
go to the fucking statue. You wanted to watch Mel Kiper.
Klotzy,
That's
good
fair.
thing. Hey,
I was
Klotzy, good
watching
thing
draft
about me.
coverage, certainly.
Good thing about me is sometimes I'm just too dumb to stab someone in the back, so I'll never do it to you. So you got me. You got a friend in me, brother.
I was watching Joe Klatt at the hotel. You guys took a walk. I mean, hey.
I was watching Dan Campbell.
No, you were dreaming about
you were
Dan.
watching
sleeping,
Dan Campbell.
Booner.
You were dreaming about meeting Dan Campbell at Starbucks the next morning.
Boys, big day tomorrow.
And then you wake up
Dan
to your,
Campbell.
you woke up
Dan
to your
Campbell.
alarm and then just went back to bed.
Yeah, tough look for me, right? That was tough.
Boys, great show.
Boys.
Shout out to Sean for joining the program.
Shout
We
out,
appreciate it.
Sean.
Tomorrow, guess what tomorrow is?
What? Cinco de Mayo?
The da.
John
I like
Macaroon,
those,
the da. He'll be
All
there.
right, hey, what's he drinking tomorrow, boys?
Corona.
He went Corona back to back.
He might go through
he had
straight. He's
Coors.
probably watching right now.
He had Coors.
You going course Corona? What about you, Lucas? Where you at?
I'm gonna go wine, honestly. But I said I think he had Coors last time.
Modelo.
Corona.
I'm gonna
he's
go
going
bourbon.
wine.
I'm gonna go bourbon.
All right, bourbon. There you go. Bets are in.
You get the fine
Derek
drink.
says he had the Miller Lite. It's fair. Okay. All right. That could be definitely an option. I believe he had
drink.
that already
Shout
once
out.
on the show. Appreciate all you guys, ETN. We see
Appreciate
Adam,
everyone.
Coach
Love you
Walk,
guys.
Alan, Ken, Phil, Crazy Clown, all you guys, man. We appreciate ECL.
All right, King.
Tyler, 935, Ryan, Apollo. Much love to all you guys and anybody that I missed, man. Much love to all you guys. Appreciate you for sticking all the way to the end. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Peace.
Until then, stay blessed. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. Prayers to anyone who had to endure that fucking tornado. But until tomorrow, we'll catch you guys.